They're stealing your boat. These guys are armed. They've kidnapped my crew. You sure you want to press charges against these people? Once you start this, you can't stop it. The Navy wouldn't give me a report.
They were going to get a piece of the ransom.
Whoever has possession of that blue book owns the boat. They tore my room apart. They looked everywhere for that thing. Nobody knows where the boat is. I'll pay you to fly me around and find it. No one wants to touch me because they're all afraid of these people.
I wouldn't have rode in the car with you.
He gets in our car in the back seat. I have a family member that can help you. And he says, well, we just call him compadre. It was a 4-hour drive out into the desert. Some things are better discussed face to face.
Like in the movies.
Like in the movies, just like that. Well, I want to know his name. He can't tell you his name. Gets on the phone, get these guys on the boat tonight. Done.
Did he seem like he was a government official?
No. My crew is against me. Crew scared enough to testify that these guys own the boat. You're not stealing their boat. You're stealing their home.
Well, I'm here with my Uncle Clyde, and I'm Clyde too, so we're both, it's a day with two Clydes.
I'm Clyde 1,
Clyde 2. So, obviously, you started a YouTube channel to, I guess, maybe relive a little bit of your yacht building. You know, you built the biggest homemade yacht, maybe in the world, once single-handedly.
Single-handedly.
Right?
Right.
So a lot of people, you know, watching the video, and, you know, obviously I'm aware of it. You know, I experienced some of it, the build. And then going through the comments, there's just so many questions about you. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of this has pretty much been undocumented. Nobody knows what you have done. And myself, I think it's pretty astonishing, you know, knowing you and knowing the interesting things that you've done. So how did a guy decide to build a big ass boat?
Well, I was born in St. Louis. And,
okay.
And started from there, and I grew up my first 6 years in the garage behind my aunt's house.
First 6 years, like in high school?
No, in when I was born. So my first years of my life.
Really?
Yeah, I lived in a garage.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I lived behind my aunt's house, my aunt Snook's house.
Wow.
And
okay.
So anyway, I grew up there, and then we turned 12. Then we moved to California during the elections of Kennedy. I remember listening to that election on the radio.
Okay.
And so came to California, and my dad was a tool and die maker. Mm-hmm. I learned how to run punch presses and machinery and stuff like that just from being around my dad. He had lots of input. He was very innovative. I mean, he had lots of good ideas. And,
really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he showed me a lot. But, you know, most of it I learned on my own. You know, I, you know, didn't really get any training. I didn't do very good in school. Mm-hmm. I barely got through high school. The only reason I graduated is because my dad would have killed me. Mm-hmm. So, but other than that, I don't feel like I really had too much. My favorite classes were all my shop classes. So I failed. Well, I didn't fail at my junior year. What happened was I changed schools and I didn't make up the test. So I had to spend that year. I had to get the credits. Mm-hmm. So my next semester, I became on the honor roll, because I took all shop classes. You know, I had the drafting class, which I came in handy. And,
congratulations.
You know, the auto shop class and the wood shop and you know, all that stuff that I did. And PE was always easy for me.
So you like doing stuff
with my
hands,
hands,
like that, yeah, like instead of
right
academic work.
Right, and there isn't too much that I can't look at to try to figure out how that was made. Mm-hmm. So my whole life as a kid, everything I looked at, I was always curious about what it took to make that. You know, what did that person use, or what kind of tool, or what it took to make that. And so I would be at my family's houses, and their kids were a little more well off than we were, so they had better toys, but they were always broken. So my challenge was to fix them. So I would just be looking for broken toys that I could fix. And so that's
on their behalf, to give it back to them, or so that you could like take their used toys and fix it?
That was my own satisfaction of just fixing it.
Okay.
I don't care if it's an old cigarette lighter or anything that I found that I could work on to make work again. It was satisfying.
You know, that's funny you say that, because like I've told you many times that, you know, you have motivated me throughout my life, and just seeing the things that you've done and that you've accomplished, you know, and it makes me think a little bit differently. And it's funny that you say that, because I find myself with things that are broken, that are easily replaced, right? They're cheap. I could go buy another one, but I have this challenge in my own head of like, no, I could probably just fix that and make it work again. So it's kind of funny that I could see where that comes from, you know?
But yeah, that was a good feeling to get something fixed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So you didn't do good in school.
No, I barely got through school. My second grade report card is pretty much proof of that. In second grade, my teacher says, Clyde seems to just guess at the answers, usually wrong. And I'm pretty much going through life like that.
Yeah.
It's trial and error, you know. I don't really take too much input from people. I mean, I listen to them, but I have to do it myself to find out why I can or why I can't. So for someone just to tell me, oh, you can't do that or you should do this, okay, I hear that. But I still have to do it myself to see why I can't. Because lots of times they'll say you can't, but they don't know why you can't. They just know that you can't. But I don't know that. So I'm willing to depends on when I build something, it depends on how badly I want it and what it's going to take for me to put into it to make it happen. So when I started to do the boat, I just finished converting a double-decker bus from Germany into a motorhome. I used it. Obviously, you were on that bus. You went camping with me on that bus.
I went camping with Dumont Dunes. That was
So
I mean, I still remember that very vividly.
Right. So I sold that. Well, actually, while I had that, I was still, because I had my sailboat before I did the bus, and then after I did the bus, I'm going, I want to live on the water. The sailboat that I bought in China, in Taiwan. Flew to Taiwan, never sailed in my life. And I took 6 of my friends that never sailed in their lives. But they had enough confidence in me to go, I'm going. So we didn't even know what sail went on what mast. We didn't know how to rig them.
And I'm assuming this is pre-GPS.
This was the Lorand, where you really didn't get a signal in the middle of the ocean anyway.
Okay.
So plus we were learning how to use that on the way. So I did that, and I decided I want to live on the boat, but I know I didn't want to do it on a sailboat.
Okay, so I'm hearing these things about, and I remember this at the time, you know, double-decker bus, you know, the sailboat, things like this. So what did you do in order to be able to get yourself in this position, right? Like, I mean, were you working for somebody? Did you have a good job? Did you have, like, what was leading up to that?
Yeah, well, when I was in high school, I built my first chopper, and so I was a sophomore when I put this thing together. So what happened was I mowed lawns every day for $1 a piece, and then I bought this chopper, this Triumph, a piece at a time. I bought pistons, I bought rings, everything that I could afford to buy as I built it. And as I built it, I had them chromed one piece at a time. And I had all these pieces in my closet until I had the whole bike ready to assemble. And then I rode that to school on my graduation day. So I did that, and then after that, then I built my ski boat. The one with the
Well, what were
hydro.
you doing for work at the time? Were you working for your dad? Or?
No, I went to work running a punch press for $1.35 an hour.
Okay.
And so on that $1.35 an hour.
Out of high school.
Out of high school.
Okay.
I was running a punch press at M&M Engineering, and I was, I was just like 19 or 20, something like that. I can't remember dates. And so anyway, I was running the night shift of the punch press, and I had a lady there that was running the punch press, and we were running these gold-plated contact tips. And something happened with the press where something stuck in there, and she ruined all these parts. So I said, my boss really likes me. I'll just tell him that it's my fault. Well, he fired me. So it was probably
Okay.
probably one of the best moves because it made me get out and do something else. Because I'm thinking, man, I've got a nice job. I'm running the night shift. I'm pretty comfortable, and so I would have stayed there. And so that just made me move on to my next one. So at that point, then I went to work for Northrop Architectural Systems, doing aluminum windows, and I was learned how to weld there. And I already knew how to weld, but they went to a class and took it.
Refining your skills.
Yeah, refining something. So I was making jigs for skins for the Boeing planes.
Okay.
Through Northrop.
Wow.
And I did that for a while, and then one of my foremen there that was working with me, he quit and got another job for Construction Metalworkers Corporation. So he called me one day and said, "Do you want to come work over here with me?" So I changed jobs and I got a raise. I went up to $3.33 an hour.
Wow.
So that's when I was really rolling, and you know, I was able to, you know, buy gas for the boat I built. So, but now I'm still not making much money, but still I was able to put the amount of work into the things that I wanted. But on the side, I decided to paint apartment buildings. So my uncle Chuck, my dad's brother, had worked for Pittsburgh Paint, and he would rent me an airless and sell me the paint wholesale. So I was able to, because what happened was the apartment I was living in when I was married to Patty, you know, the owner was a pretty good friend, and so I said, the building needed paint. I go, I can paint that for you. So he hired me to paint it. So after I finished it, the guy in the building next door asked me if I'd paint his. So pretty soon now I'm painting all the apartment buildings down the street, and it became, you know, another full-time job, but that was after. I would do that at night and on the weekends. So I was always doing something.
Wow.
So I was getting money there, but it wasn't like I was making a lot. I was just able to improve my lifestyle a little bit more.
Okay, so you're a hustler.
Yeah,
I'm establishing that, right?
right.
I mean, somebody who's, I mean, my kids ain't mowing lawns for $1.
Right.
They won't even do it for $20 probably. I mean,
Right.
it's just a different, not to cut on my kids at all, right? Obviously I love them, but you know, it's just a different now, right?
Right.
People want to make a quick buck. They want to make a lot of bucks. They don't want to hustle for it.
Right.
Right. Where do you go from there?
Just before I get to that, one of the things my dad taught me was we would get to work 1 hour early every day. We never got there on time. It was 1 hour early. We sat in the parking lot for 1 hour every morning because he was afraid he might run out of gas. There might be traffic. He was never ever late in his life, and that taught me I'm never late. I'll be there early, but I won't be late. And also, he never gave me anything. So if I wanted insurance on my car, I bought it myself. If I wanted to have drum lessons, I mowed lawns and paid for my drum lessons. So everything I have, if it was to go to the movies, if it was to put gas in my car, I had to buy it all. Nothing was given to me. And so, and I learned another thing from my dad was, if he says something, he's going to do it. So I learned that too, that if I say something, I have to do it. And so when I said I'm going to build this boat, you know, people say that. Well, yeah, I'm gonna.
Someday.
Someday, you know, when I'm going to do that, and they don't. So when I say that, it means I'm really going to do it. So people have learned that through the years to not ask me if I say that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
May not be the first time,
Yeah.
but I'm going to keep doing it till I get it right.
Yeah, real quick, before I forget, you know, one of the things that I learned about that I remembered about the boat, right? Because, I mean, I was like, 12, 14 years old going out there when the boat was being built and all that stuff. And, you know, we'd come out on the weekends with my mom and dad and come say hi and all that stuff. And, man, you'd be freaking working on the weekends, barely taking a break.
No,
like, we were interrupting you. But here's what's funny. You know, one of the things that I remembered, you know, thinking about it recently, never once did I hear, oh, he's crazy. He's never going to finish that boat. Oh, it's going to take too long. Nothing. I never heard anything like that. It was just, he's building a big old fucking boat. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I'm sure that people that didn't know you, that drove by and saw the thing, and there's a lot of unfinished projects, right?
Oh, yeah, I heard all
but
that.
I know that you have that reputation, and I knew that you had that reputation when I was 10 years old, 12 years old, you know? But so I'm starting to learning about these things. So you like to build things, evidently, right? So I just want to touch on the trikes, you know, quickly, because that was like, what do you think made you like?
Well,
I mean, like what was the thing that like really set it off? And like, I mean, you had to be like, when you're telling me about the bus and the sailboat, there's something that, you know, was the trikes what made you have a very comfortable lifestyle?
Yeah, no, it was good. And what happened with that was, I was working at Construction Metal Workers Corporation, and I saw this guy. It was one of the Big Daddy Ross three-wheelers that he made. I mean, he's the one that came up with it in the first place. And so I saw this guy riding that thing. I go, I like that.
The VW trike.
Yeah, the VW trike. I go, I like that. I could build one of those. So I talked to the guy because he was a couple streets over. I followed him home, and so we got to talking. So I went up to Big Daddy Roth and I bought two of them, one for myself and one for Jack. He paid for his, but I mean, we bought two of them, and so we built them, and then after I built mine, I get over things really quick. I mean, I get it, I use it, I'm happy with it, and I'm done with it, I need to do something else. So I put it for sale over on the corner of in a gas station across the street from Disneyland. And some guy from Houston had a motorcycle shop called Custom Motorcycles of Houston on the North Loop. And his name was Bill. And he had a partner named Johnny. And they also did van conversions. Anyway, so he saw the bike, and he calls me.
And this is like 1970, I'm imagining?
Yeah, it was in the 70s.
We'll say 69, just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was in the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, because I built this ski boat when it was in the 70s, so it was right after that.
Okay.
So, so he calls me, he wants to buy it. So I go, okay. So I meet him over there, and really, I mean, at the time it was only $1,800. You know, all this work I did for $1,800. So he buys it, and then in order for him to get it back to Houston, he goes to the Ford dealership and buys a Ranchero. And we put the trike up on top of the Ranchero, the wheels on the rails, and then the front wheel down. And he says, "How would you like to keep building these things?" And we go, "Yeah, sure." So he goes, "Okay, come to Houston with me, and we'll talk business." I go, "Okay." So we left the next day.
You rode with him to Houston?
I took a sleeping bag. I slept underneath that trike in the back of it because those two were in the front. And it was too hard, so I rode underneath of it in a sleeping bag all the way to Houston through all that heat and everything.
And so just so people know, from California.
From California to Houston.
From Garden Grove, California.
From Disneyland.
From Disneyland. Okay, so that's a haul. So then he says, "Hey, let's." So then that kicked that off.
So he said, "I'll start. How many can you make?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I can make a couple a month anyway, at least." So I came back, and he flew me home. Came back. I went to work, and I was the swing shift lead man at that place. And so I gave him 2 weeks, and I quit. And they're going, all my friends are like, you have a great job. Because what happened in that job was I was doing all the parapet layout around the top of these buildings that we were building. So we were doing all the curtain wall for Century City in LA, and we did all that curtain wall. Well, I would be the guy that was cutting all those panels when all these irregular shapes come together. I was laying that out and cutting those pieces. So that was my job because it was easy for me. I didn't have to have too many drawings. I can make it work. And so anyway, so I quit. And then my friends were like, "Oh man, this is, big mistake." So I started building these bikes, but I had to buy these from Roth in order to build them. Well, super guy, really nice guy, but not really into the production part where I could go up and buy two or three or four.
He didn't have them in stock.
He didn't have them in stock, and to get them, it's just now I'm frazzled because I'm committed.
You got
now.
orders to
I'm
fill,
going to be doing
and you got to
things.
make money.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I wanted to copy or do anything like that, but he left me no choice but to start reworking what I thought would be better. So I changed things the way that I wanted them. And but I have to give him credit. He's the one that actually came up with that. So and then I just changed everything to make it easier for myself, and I started mass producing everything, and I started doing 2 a month, and then pretty soon I was doing 4 a month. And I'm putting these things on a trailer, 4 motorcycles on a trailer. I'm driving it to Texas, straight through to Houston. I was like, it was like, you got to do things to do that. But
It was a grind.
Yeah.
Lots of coffee.
No
Monsters back then and Red Bulls.
No,
lots of coffee.
Yeah, so that's when you start seeing things on the highway because you're so tired.
Yeah.
But so I would get there, I would unload the motorcycles, and we'd get them all running and doing everything that he wanted. He had them all in a display on the grass up in front of the shop, and
wow.
He had a whole display of them. So. And then I needed Volkswagen motors and transmissions and clips and, all the things that go with it. And California is the dune buggy era, so those pieces were hard to come by.
Oh.
And so he would line all that stuff up because he knew pretty much everybody in Houston. And so he would say, "Go over here, they've got this." So I'd go there and pick it all up, put it all in my trailer, and I'd drive back with it and start another 4 and start coming back.
Wow.
And so that's how that started. And then in the process, I wound up, one of my last trips back there was, I'm going through San Antonio, and I guess San Antonio or El Paso. It's been a long time ago.
I know the area.
And so anyway,
they're pretty close.
Yeah,
They're pretty close. Yeah.
Texas.
Okay.
So anyway, so I'm driving down there, and this guy pulls alongside of me, and he's got a construction company. He's making me pull over the side of the road. So I pull over the side of the road, and he goes, "Can I buy one of these?" And I go, "Well, yeah, okay." So I sold him one. Well, then when I got
Right there on the side of the road?
yeah,
Just
yeah, there you go. Took it off. He paid me. I'm
cash?
done.
Or
yeah,
you had cash on him?
yeah.
Okay.
So well, it wasn't that much.
Why not? I mean,
I sold the other for $1,800.
yeah.
It wasn't that.
If you want to buy it, it's for sale.
Right,
That's why I
wasn't
build
like-
them to sell them.
Right, it wasn't like 30,000. So,
Okay. Okay.
so anyway, so yeah, he bought it, and I went on with 3 of them. When I got there, they're like, "Where's my other one?" And I said, "Well, I sold it." And so then they were unhappy with me. So I'm going, well, so they kind of give me a hard time, and I said, well, okay, forget it. I'll do this on my own. So I went home, and I decided to put an ad, a mail order ad. So kits, $7.95 for a body, a frame, a Springer front end. I was making all my Springer front ends, getting everything chromed and all that, and then. So $7.95, and I had a little thing, send me $3 for a brochure, no checks. So, I'm getting tons and tons of brochures. I'm going, yeah, screw the motorcycles. This brochure thing is doing well. We'll just do that for a while. So anyway, that helped a lot, just doing that. And then I hired my cousin Linda just to fill out envelopes to stuff these brochures in it, to send them out. I was getting that much.
Many, wow.
That much response. She could probably tell you. She still remembers that. And then, so that kind of kicked that all off. And then I started getting dealerships, and I sold. I had a dealership in Memphis, and that's when Elvis came through his. He saw one of my trikes in the window, and so this guy in Memphis sold Elvis 2 motorcycles, 2 of my bikes, and they're still in his museum today.
Wow.
So if you go there, they're still there.
Now, are those ones that you actually built in your shop?
They were all my kits and everything.
And they assembled them out there.
And
though?
he assembled them and sold
Okay.
them. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's
And then
cool.
I still have a copy of the check that. What's his dad's name?
I seen it. I
starts with
seen it.
Yeah,
I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting really old. You gotta
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
old.
shit, I'm younger and I still don't remember it. But I saw the check. It said from Elvis Presley, but he signed
Aaron,
it.
I think his dad's name was Aaron. No,
I don't remember, but
that's pretty sad. But
it's not an important detail.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's just Elvis.
Yeah, that's all we need to know.
So all this is happening, and then I got another order from a guy, Johnny Graham from Earth, Wind and Fire, the lead guitar player. So he came down and bought one, and then he liked it, so he bought another one. So he bought 2 of them. I mean, it's nothing to these guys, so
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
So
And they came to your shop?
yeah,
You
they
met
came
him
to
and
my
everything?
shop.
Nice guy?
Right, right. So Johnny Graham came, and he had this silk shirt on and everything, and I had a little tiny leak in the gas tank, so I had to weld that up. So
You welded up a gas tank with gas in it?
No, you take the gas out, and you take the exhaust from a lawnmower motor or any kind of a gasoline motor. You put the exhaust in the tank, and you fill it with the exhaust, and then you can weld it.
Oh,
So
because it doesn't support combustion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I welded it like that. But one time I was welding a Volkswagen tank, same thing. Only it was
Same
a
trick?
dune buggy tank, and I'm on top of it welding it, and when it blew me against the wall, and the whole thing it looked like a pillow that big.
You're like, oh yeah, I can weld this. Just hook up the exhaust. Boom.
I've done this many times. Not a problem. Don't worry, I can do this well. Yeah.
Did they get it on video?
No.
Okay, well then it doesn't count.
No. It's hearsay. So anyway, so that's how I got all started on that.
Okay, so then
So I'll elaborate a little bit more. So on that, after all that was going on, and I'm doing the motorcycles, then I started getting dealers in England, and
wow.
in fact, I'm still friends with him on Facebook, and so I selling quite a few of them. It was to the point where, okay, now the chrome shop can't keep up with my chroming because I'm doing 100 springers at a time, 100 sets of pedals. I'm doing everything 100 sets. So now all of my shipments and everything are held up because of no chrome. So the guy that does my chrome work, Gilbert, was in the back room, big Cuban guy, and he was the buffing guy, but yet he knew how to run the line and everything. And then so I'd go over there and he'd go, yeah, I'll get these parts out for you. So he would just kind of like do me favors. And so he was a big help. And then what happened was I came across a guy that was selling an old chrome shop. So I asked Gilbert, I go, if I buy this, do you want to be a partner with me? You run it and everything, and then, just concentrate on my parts, and we'll do other stuff. But it became to the point where we were doing the wheels for the Jaguar dealership in Newport Beach. We were doing, chrome wheels for lots of the dealers, and so it started to become
Its
bigger
own
and
its
bigger,
own entity.
bigger and bigger for him, and not so big for me anymore. So pretty soon I'm still on the back burner
Oh shit!
because he's making more money doing these things. So anyway, the same thing happened with my fiberglass. I couldn't get enough fiberglass bodies from where I was buying them from. So I decided to go ahead and open my own fiberglass. And so then a guy came along, and Bill Miller, and he became my competitor. But the way that happened...
With motorcycle? With
yeah,
the
with
trikes?
my trikes. It became Wilmac. So what happened was, I'm selling the motorcycles, and then him and his mother, they came to me and said, if you front us the money for molds and a fiberglass chopper gun and all that kind of stuff, we'll give you these bikes at this price for a certain amount of time until we pay you back for all the equipment that you're buying up front. I'm like, okay, that's good for me, and only my parts are being made. Good. Well, pretty soon he says, can I start selling these too? And I'm thinking, okay, but he's gonna have to buy my frames and my springers and all that kind of stuff. Well, pretty soon my bodies started not coming. I couldn't ship things because now he's selling them. Now he's also copying my frames and all that kind of stuff. So that's all gone down the way. So I wound up putting him into business and becoming my competitor.
Well, that was nice of you.
Yeah. Well, the good part is it just made me work harder.
Yeah.
It made me work harder, and competition is good.
Yeah. I like competition myself.
So that just made me try harder.
Yeah.
But that's why I had the chrome shop, the fiberglass shop. That's how all that came about.
So you had some successful businesses.
They are, and it wasn't like all of a sudden, you make a ton of money.
It wasn't an overnight thing. No, you had to hustle.
The chrome shop, I welded all new tanks. So all the tanks, because this thing was for sale.
And you did this yourself?
I welded all the tanks. I don't know anything about rectifiers or chrome plating, but I was rewiring and putting new diodes and everything in all these rectifiers that were all broken.
Back to fixing the toys.
Back to fixing the toys. So it all was coming back to me now. But yeah, I was able to repair all that stuff without ever really knowing anything about it.
Okay.
And
all right. So
trial and error. You tried it, didn't work. Holy cow! You don't do that again.
You try to weld a gas tank, you blow up, you get up against the wall. So let's try something different.
That's where my guessing at it.
I guess this might work.
I think I could do that. I've read that somewhere.
Okay,
I could use A, B, or C. I'll pick C. Pretty much, yeah.
So now Clyde's got, he's got a couple. He's doing all right. Right? He's doing all right. And then you decide you want to buy a boat.
Yeah.
So you bought yourself a sailboat.
Right. So, well, first of all, I'm looking at boats. And I'm in Newport Beach, and I'm going out looking at these sailboats. And I wanted like this Formosa 50 because the deck on it was nice. I like things that are nice and neat and clean, and not a bunch of junk all over. So this was the biggest, cleanest deck of all the boats. I didn't care if it went 2 knots or 30 knots, because when I get there, I want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Just like the catamaran. So that was my goal. So anyway, I'm looking at these boats, and I'm out there, and the sales lady she brought another guy, and at that time I was in my 30s, and she brought this guy that was in his late 60s, and I'm watching him get on and off of these boats, and I'm going, ooh, I can't wait. I mean, I'm not going to wait until that time in my life to do this.
I see what you mean.
So that's what pushed me into buying that sailboat now, because I'm not going to wait.
You want to be able to jump around
I'm going to have fun on it. I'm not going to be stumbling around on it with a harness on, thinking I'm going to fall over. Well, I knew they were made in Taiwan. So I'm not going to buy one from a dealer. I'm going to go to Taiwan and look at them. So I took my friend Mike, and we went. Well, actually, what happened? We were in Hawaii on vacation because I wouldn't leave my shop. Mike is a school friend of mine, and he would always come to the shop and go, "Come on, let's go do something." Get away. And I would never leave. I never took a vacation. I never went anywhere. My whole goal was work, work, work. So one day he said, "Okay, I booked us a ticket to go to Hawaii," and I'm going, so now I'm obligated to go. So I said, all right, so we'll go. So we got to Hawaii, and I said, "Gee, we're halfway to Taiwan." Why
And
don't
I
we-"
was thinking about them boats.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about the boat. I go, let's go to Taiwan. So we went down to the embassy and got a visa, and jumped on a plane, and we went to Taiwan, and I bought the boat while I was there. And you know, I'm looking at it, and I'm standing underneath of it, and you know, because it's pretty big for standing outside.
And how it was a
It was
65?
no, it was a 50 footer.
Okay, 50.
51.
Okay, okay.
By 50 foot 10 inches.
okay,
So
okay.
anyway, so yeah, I'm looking. I'm going, man, this thing's gonna be like a rock out in the ocean. This is perfect. We'll take it. So he said, well, we have one in the mold, and this and that. And here we have another one over here that's almost done, that someone canceled on it. So if you want that one, we can have that in 6 weeks. So, well, great, you know. So I bought that one. I mean, I didn't, you know, I didn't want to come in and go, well, I want the kitchen over here. I'm going, good deal, I'll take it. So I did, and then now in 6 weeks, I've got to go home and get all my stuff together. I go, you know, I haven't taken a day off work, and I don't remember. Now all of a sudden, I'm leaving to sail around the South Seas, or you know, the China Seas. So, all my friends wanted to go. But I narrowed it down to 6 people.
Okay.
And so I took my girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend, two other friends. That just worked out that way. I'm still friends. I stay friends with everybody. You know, I don't burn any bridges. So we all went, and you know, so none of us have ever sailed. None of them have ever sailed.
Did you consider that when you decided to sail from Taiwan? That like how important sailing experience might be?
No, I figured no. Here's how I learned how to sail. Gooder.
I'm pulling the.
Yeah. Didn't work. Trial and error. Works better. So that's how I learned how to sail.
Okay, you didn't read any books or nothing like that.
And nobody went along that ever sailed before. So these are all my friends. I can't go wrong because they don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong anyway. So yeah, so you know, what the heck? I got them baffled.
Okay, they're like,
So,
shit, he knows what he's
Oh
doing.
yeah, no, they were happy. They were just going, man, this is great. They don't know that I'm like, holy shit, you know. So then, when we left, so we go to get there. Now I'm thinking, I've got to buy, just like the bus here, I've got to buy
Food?
knives and forks and plates and dishes and all that. So I'm buying all that stuff. I'm putting it in a big crate and getting it all to ship. Well, I shipped it over there, and then, well, I took, you know, the pirates in the South China Sea and all that stuff, you got to have guns. So I took a Mini 14, stainless steel Mini 14. I had a 30-06.
You shipped it there?
No, I took it on the plane.
Okay.
Hey, you know.
No, I mean flying into Taiwan with all this. I mean that's probably
Well,
wasn't. Was it that much?
we'll get to that part. So we get to the airport, and I see a sign that says, you know, the kids can't even have plastic guns. So I'm looking at this sign that says, you know, guns and all this stuff. I'm going, man, I just broke into a sweat. I'm going, holy cow, you know. I mean, I've got boxes of 30-06 and Mini 14, the 22 caliber. I mean, I've just got cases of it. So I go, hey, buddy, I knock on this little thing. I go, I have some guns. What do I do? Jeez. I mean, the Navy came, the Army, they had everybody. I had to give them my flare guns. I couldn't have anything. So this whole caravan of Army trucks and everything came to the airport and took everything.
I never heard this.
Oh, yeah,
before.
no, they took everything I
Okay.
had. And so then they said, you can have this back when you leave the country. So
Well, that was thoughtful.
that was
That's
pretty
nice.
good, but I'm thinking, you can have it all, just let me go.
I don't want to go to prison.
Yeah, I don't want to go to prison because I really didn't know. I mean, I don't read much, obviously. So
There was no internet to look up your travel.
don't give me directions. If I have a visual on it, I could do it, but
Okay.
don't give me a direction. So that happened. So then now we're out there trying to figure out this boat, and we had to get it from the yard down to the Keelung Harbor and get it launched and all that stuff. And we're on board of this thing when they're taking the boat down the streets, and they've got these.
It wasn't even launched yet.
No, it was still in the boatyard. We're going down the street, so they have all these strips of wood from the bow all the way up over everything, all the way down to the back of the boat. So I'm going, well, what the heck is all that? You know, because Chinese, I don't speak the language. It's like, okay, so anyway, so that's because they just blocked off the roads, and we're going so close to between these houses that it's almost touching each end. So then you see the telephone wires that are coming. So my boat would catch all those wires, and the wires would go just drag up across the top of the boat and then down the
They
back.
didn't. There was no mast up, obviously.
No.
Okay,
It was just
just a hull.
So we're inside the boat when these things were all coming up over the top.
You're
Yeah, we got to ride inside of it because there was no other way to get us there. It's not like here, OSHA is not.
Oh man. Okay. So you're like, well, we might as well ride in there.
We might as well. So,
And were you guys out on the deck?
sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, but most of the time we duck down because all the stuff is
Yeah,
coming.
yeah. Okay.
So we got it all launched and everything, and then they set the mast and did. But before we even left the boatyard, they gave us these big tubs of like wax, and so you had to take the wax and just with your hand put it on every bit of the boat from the gunnel down. And so what the heck?
On the outside of the
On
hull.
the outside of the hull. And then we had these big tires that they would use for fenders because we didn't have any fenders. So then we find out that the reason for that is the ships and the container ships and everything in there change their oil right into the water. So they're just dumping their
Just
oil
dump it
in the
in
water. So otherwise, all that oil would be stuck to the side of my boat. There were pallets floating in the water. There were just dead animals floating
Pretty
in the
nasty.
water. It was pretty nasty. So anyway, we're in there trying to do this, and we're trying to figure out what sail goes on what mast, and then how to.
They didn't help you with that.
No. They just there you go.
Here's your sails. I'll see you
There
later.
go. Yeah. So right. So we got all that. So then I'm trying to rig this thing. So here's how I'm rigging my boat. I got the binoculars up, and I'm looking at somebody else's boat. Okay, put another one on. So that's how we rigged the boat. So of course it was wrong, because
They had theirs wrong.
well, I don't know what they did, but I know I didn't do mine right. So it didn't work. So what happened was I did this thing instead of this thing, So when we got into the seas, my boom was going from one side to the other because it wasn't like this. It was just like that. So it gave that thing a lot of room to swing back and forth. So I only know that because a storm came in.
And you guys are sailing back.
So yeah, we decided to sail back from Taiwan, and we've never been on a sailboat before. But
Sounds safe.
we didn't want to come straight back. We wanted to go to Hong Kong first. So we were.
I mean, you're in the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly,
Might
right
as well
there in the back door.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I knew that if I just everything to my right was going to be land. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be China. Anyway, I don't care where I go, I'm going to hit land. So we did that, and then got it rigged to what we thought was right. And then the guy on the boat next to us, the storm came in. He says, "You guys are better off at sea than you are in this harbor," because we were tied next to him. Boards were cracking between our boats and everything like that. And just before that, we had them bring my guns and everything back. So I don't know how many days, 3 or 4 days before that, because we were checking out, we were going to go. So then they come. Here comes the army again with all these jeeps. So they have all my guns. They have everything. I have a wet locker on the sailboat. They bring in all my guns. They stack them all in there. My flare gun and everything's back. And then they tape it all up. And then they said, if we stop you here in our waters and that tape is cut, you're going to jail. So we didn't do that. So anyway, so we had everything on board. And then, so this guy's telling us, you guys are better off to go. So we're going, okay. We left. We just untied and left. And so we were in the storm, and it was just.
How bad was it?
It was pretty bad. We were going with the storm, and seas behind us. So the waves were breaking behind us. That's how big it was. And then so
I hate a following sea.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know
we're
about you.
going down there, and then our knuckles are hurting because it's like making you go this way. So we're trying to compensate. We've never done it before, so this is like a learning curve again. And so we're getting pretty beat up. So then I had to get some sleep, and so Bill was at the helm. And then all of a sudden I hear crack. Well, that was our mizzen boom that just finally went over to the side and just broke right off. So then we had to take that and get it off and then get it tied down to the side of the boat. And we just kept going without it. But that's because we put the mizzen sail up. And now it's pushing us, and it's going like this, back and forth. So now the boat's going this way, and then it's going that way. So we were just like out of control. But
Yeah.
we didn't. So then after that all broke off, we go, well, let's put up that little one in the front and let it pull us instead of pushing us. Just
Way better.
perfect. It was just like the perfect sail. It was one of the best sails we've had.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anyway, we got all the way into Hong Kong. We didn't know where we were. Almost ran into the side of the cruise ship in the middle of the night because seeing all these lights, it looked like a city, but it was this cruise ship. And it was so close that we're looking up at this thing, we're going, Jesus, you know. So by the time we figured that out, we were in the prop wash. And so now we're like, the boat's like spinning around. Really. So that was scary enough. So then we're going,
So you were on it. You were gonna hit it. You just narrowly.
Yeah, we just moved. Pretty soon, you know, here's the lights out there, and then pretty soon.
And they're like, why are the lights? Yeah.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden they're like that. Is it a building or what the heck is that? So, so now I'm going. Oh man, I'm in a panic because we came into this with no radar, so you couldn't see land on either side. We didn't know where we were in that harbor. We had no clue. So there really weren't any lights or anything because we were coming in the back channel. So we get in, and so now we see lights along the beach, and I go, okay, now those are lights. So then head towards the lights. So we're going, and pretty soon I go, it's a swim rope. We just went over the top of a swim rope to the beach. So we almost ran it onto the beach. So, you know, let's whip that thing around and go, okay, drop the anchor. This is where we're spending the night. We're not moving, you know, so.
And you have no idea what beach you're on. You don't even know what country you're in.
No, we didn't know. All I knew is we were headed to the right, and there was land there. So, but
Okay.
it was on the back entrance to Hong Kong, fortunately. We did make that part.
So you were in the vicinity.
Yeah, it was China, so we were good.
Okay.
So I knew it was over there. I just had to find the right spot.
So, all right. So it sounds like you had some good times on the sailboat.
I've
I
had
had
some
some good times on that sailboat.
Yeah, yeah.
I had some good times.
Yeah, by the time I got it back, I kind of had to figure out the gooder and better thing. So it was much better.
Okay, so you got a boat, and then you built you did some other projects, obviously. And then one day you go, I need to build a bigger boat.
After the sailboat, I built the bus.
Okay.
So then I built the bus.
I remember
and
the
then-
bus.
Then as I'm done with the bus, you know, I only had that for a short time.
Yeah, yeah. I remember. So it was a double decker. It was a double decker.
Neoplan.
It sounds like such a weird word, double decker. I like.
But it's not like the old British one.
Yeah,
this
it was from Germany. I
Right.
remember. Yeah. And then so I remember you got that thing. It came in out of Texas, and then you had never driven a bus like that. Wasn't it like a 10-speed or something?
Yeah, well, it came from Germany. I had it shipped over from Germany. One of my motorcycle dealers was German, and so when he went to Germany, because he knew I was looking for this bus, so he went to the junkyard, bus junkyard, and he sent me a couple of pictures. He goes, I got a couple of these over here. Are you interested? I go, yeah. So he put them on the ship and shipped them over. They came into the port of in Houston, and so I flew out there with Mike, my friend Mike, and my secretary Mary. So we flew out there, and I forget his name even. Anyway, so he picked us up at the airport, took us to the terminal, and they were closing at 5 o'clock. We got there just before that. We had to get on the buses. We didn't even know how to start them. You know, get the airbags up. I mean, it was all. So we had to do that, and then we.
And everything's in German.
Yeah, everything on the
All the
bus is in
instructions.
German. Yeah. So then after we got them started and everything, then we had to come out of the yard, and as you come out of the yard, you go right onto the freeway. So we didn't have a chance to even figure all that stuff out. So we're on the freeway at 5 o'clock on Friday to learn how to drive this thing on the freeway. It was like a lot of.
And I remember you saying no tags, no permits.
No, we didn't even get a permit. We just grabbed
No, like license, registration, nothing
no.
like that. Yeah.
No.
Like let's send it.
Yeah, just got it on it, and we just left. So there was no.
So now you got the buses those were really nice, like the bus conversion. I know you got a video of that on your
On YouTube,
On
that's on
YouTube,
there.
yeah. So that was pretty cool. Camping in that was really nice. Yeah, that was a pretty nice layout you did, and you designed that all yourself. Just
Yeah,
kind
it was
of
just
okay.
kind of just.
I remember getting it. I remember going to your shop when you were getting it all. There was a bunch of trash and stuff
Yeah.
in there that people had left.
a lot of stuff on there. But,
Okay, so
I did that. Then that's when when I really decided that I wanted to go back on the water, and
did you have the boat at the same time as the bus?
no, I sold the bus, and that's what got me started. Because once I sold the bus, then I sold my motorcycle business. to one of my dealers in Arizona. So they bought it, and then I owned the building that I had the motorcycle business in. So I sold that building, sold the business, sold the bus, and I go, I'm going to build the boat, you know.
So did you plan on building the boat before you got rid of all that stuff?
Yeah.
So okay, so
Because I couldn't have all that and build the boat, because I knew it was going to
Yeah.
take this. This is going to take a lot.
so
to
this
do
is
the
never so this is never like there's a lot of things missing here for me because I know a lot of the story, but some of it's so you're on your sailboat, I believe, and then you said, you know what, I got to build my own boat.
But I wanted to do that, but I didn't really get into that till after the bus, to where I was really going, okay, now I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So
So you sold the sailboat and then
yeah, sold the sailboat. I sold my business. I sold my bus and all that stuff.
all with
My
the
building,
plan of building
my boat.
Kaleidoscope.
Right.
Okay.
So I sold my building. I sold everything. So I put that money together to build the boat. So no one.
You weren't a billionaire.
I wasn't a billionaire. It wasn't.
You didn't get an inheritance.
No.
You weren't born with a silver spoon. None of that.
I wish, but
Well, I think that if you did, you wouldn't be the person you were today.
I certainly wouldn't work as hard as I do.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So now all that stuff's gone. Did you already have the plans for the boat, or?
Yeah, I did. So I'm already thinking about how I'm going to build it, what I'm going to do, you know, how just all this thought started coming in my head, how I'm going to move it. And so what I did before I bought the property to build the boat, I decided to, you know, like everybody says, why didn't you build it on the beach? Why didn't you build it in a
Yeah,
boat
well,
yard?
I
get
can't
all
help
that.
but read the comments.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
what? Why did you build it 100 miles from the ocean?
Right. I get all that stuff. And so I got in my car. I went down to Baja, down to San Felipe. I'm going, what a perfect place to build it on the beach, you know, yada, yada. But okay, now I'm in Mexico. I can't get supplies. I don't just, you know that. You
No,
just
of course.
can't take everything across the border like you want.
No,
And then to get it and go through the hassle of all that, I go, okay, that's out. That's not going to work. So I went ahead and drove up the coast all the way up the Sacramento River. I'm thinking, okay, do it on the river. I'm driving down the river to see what my obstacle is going to be, even if I can get it in the water.
That's funny. I never heard this.
Yeah, so I've done all the research.
So you
on
did it all.
of that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like everybody's going, well, what'd you just do that for? Now what are you going to do? So no, my first thought was to do that. Well, if I'm going to build it in a boatyard, you know how much it costs to be in a boatyard?
It ain't cheap.
It's not cheap. And then now I'm going to take up a space in that boatyard. It's pretty expensive to put your 20-foot boat in there. And now I'm going to pay union workers to work on my boat, stand around and pick their nose and sit on the toilet. That's not how I work. That's why I don't have anyone help me. So it's easier for me to do it myself than to wait for somebody to get off the toilet or finish picking his nose or whatever he's doing, but he's not working. And so for me to tell him what I want, I can usually have it done before I can get that part done. So anyway, so that was out. No boatyards. And a dry dock, forget it. I mean, it would cost me $20,000 in a dry dock to paint the bottom
So we know it's got to be built.
in the yard.
Not in a boatyard.
Right.
It's just like you're not a billionaire.
Right.
You don't have a team of guys working on this.
And so my thought now is, okay, I thought, well, I know Russia has this huge helicopter that they can pick up just about anything. They have the biggest, heaviest lift helicopter in the world.
Okay.
So give them a call. No internet. You know, I'm going to...
You just call 411. Can I have Russia, please? Uh-huh.
Yeah, I forget who or how I did that, but I'm checking it, and they're going, okay, well, here's the problem with that. Okay.
You can't bring a Russian helicopter?
No, we didn't get to that part. They're just telling me why I can't do it.
Okay.
So they're going, first of all, okay, if we can even pick it up, the second you fly over a road, they're going to shut that road down. So every road between A and B is going to be shut down. Every house you fly over, you know, it's going to be, you know, because if that thing starts swinging or moving, we're pulling the cord. So I go, well, let me rethink that one. Let's go. I'm back to the multiple choice. I've got 3 other answers.
Okay.
So I'll go, okay, well, that's not going to work. So, no, it wasn't like it just, okay, well, I'm just going to build it in my backyard. So now I'm going, okay, now I'm going to have to build it somewhere. Okay, so the best thing to do is to build it in a dry area. If I build it on the coast, aluminum is going to oxidize overnight in salt air. So now every weld I make, I'm going to have to grind it or clean it or whatever. Why don't I just build it in the desert? It's dry. It's I'm not going to get any salt air, and so I could get up in the morning and start welding without a problem. And all my welds were good, so I didn't have that issue. Plus, property in the desert is pretty dang cheap. My second thought was I'm going to put it on a truck. If I'm in a mile from the beach, I still got to put it on that truck. So the only difference of the cost of that is going an hour away or a mile away. So that hour of driving down the freeway was pretty cheap compared to what it would have cost me to have this set up somewhere else. So that's why I did it in my backyard. But before I bought the house, I got in my car and I drove the route from San Diego where it was going to go, to that marina that I was going to launch it in. So I drove it to every house or every place that I thought I was going to use it at. So the last one was the cleanest. I was not going to have to take down any wires. I can get around all the corners. Nothing special to be done. And this house happened to have a huge driveway that you've seen in the pictures that I could use. So I leveled the yard all up and poured a couple slabs. But first, before I did that, after I bought the house, I'm reconsidering. I'm going, it's going to be a lot of work.
Okay, so yeah.
So now
okay.
I've got no business. I've got nothing. I'm not really working. I'm going, this is pretty nice. I don't have to get up every morning. I don't have to go do all these things. I'm enjoying this. So the house came with a pool. I'm sitting at the pool with some friends, and I go, if I don't start it now, I never will. So actually, I got out of the pool then, and I went to the yard, and I started laying it all out.
Laying the slabs?
Laying the slabs out where I was going to lay them out, and chalked it all off. It started that day. So that was what I put into it. But I already did my drawings of my sketch drawings, I guess you could call them.
So you already had an idea.
I already had all that. So by those drawings, I had to loft it. I couldn't do it on a computer because 30-something
What's
years.
lofting? Like
Lofting is,
laying it out kind of with
exactly.
wood?
So what I did was I made a table. You can probably see it in my video, this huge white table. So what I had to do was, from all these frame pieces that I had, I laid those all out on this table of, the chine and the just keel and all that stuff is all laid out. And now, in order to get the shape of the hull that I wanted, I welded 5 pieces of 20-foot aluminum channel together, or angle, I'm sorry. So now I've got this long piece, and I drilled holes in it all the way down. So I knew where my marks were, so I would put that angle iron down, and then I would look down it, and I would go kick this one, and I would make that straight, or as close as I could get. So it was all done just by eye. And I'm going, okay, that's how I want that curve. And then I would go back with my screw gun, I screwed it all down, then come back with a pencil and mark that line. And so that's how I laid out all of my frames.
Wow.
So it was all pretty much free.
There was no internet for you to do research.
No,
you couldn't post on a forum.
I couldn't ask somebody how to do it.
No YouTube videos.
No, nothing. There was no.
How did you research
I still
it?
had one of those telephones that was a block. Come on.
How did you research? Like, you didn't?
I didn't. I'm going, how would I get those lines? I mean, I knew you had to loft it.
I mean, like, to build a catamaran of those dimensions, right? Like, how did you think that it was going to float and work? You
Well, I made a model first. You see the model?
I seen the model.
So that model is where I took most of my dimensions off of. So when I built the model, it took me a long time to build the model, so because it was just, still wasn't exactly what I did at the end, but I made the model, and I put it in that swimming pool, and I sat on top of it, and it didn't sink. And I go, there you go. I cannot overbuild it. So no matter what I do, I can adjust it. If it's bow heavy or what, I'll change tanks. I'll do what I have to do to level it out.
Okay, so tanks. How much fuel does it hold?
It holds 2,500 gallons
Of fuel.
of fuel.
And water?
Water varied because I made all these water tanks in the middle of my wing. So I made these tanks that slid into my wing. Well, they were all aluminum, and of course, filling up the tanks with water, they wound up ballooning and blowing them to pieces because of all the water. It's kind of like a hydraulic cylinder, Pretty soon you got a flat area. That's good. So anyway, blew the seams out of them. So I wound up getting plastic tanks and filling from the top without pressure into them. So at the end, I probably had 250 gallons.
Okay, so not too much.
No, and I had a water maker that made 30 gallons an hour.
Oh, that's good water.
So
That's
I
a
could
lot.
make as much water as I wanted. But so at that point, I didn't need to carry all this tankage, so it lightened the boat up. But also, I made my own water maker. So I mean,
You made your own water
yeah,
maker?
because you can buy all the components. So you just need a high pressure pump.
When did you make your own water maker? Like what era? What year? I need to know. I need to know if it was pre or post internet.
It was pre-internet. There wasn't anybody to show me how to. Because I just looked at other water makers. So when you go to buy them, and you're looking at them, you're going, "Come on, that's way too much for way too little." I could, it was just overpriced, and it's ridiculous. So I made my own.
Okay.
And and here's the cylinders or the membranes, 30 gallons a piece. So they'll make 30 gallons an hour. Depends on how much pressure you want. You can go less or whatever. So I just I bought a pressure washer pump and hooked that.
Made your own water maker.
Exact same thing, and all the filters, and I mean just super simple.
30 gallon per hour water maker is not cheap.
No.
Yeah, that's not an inexpensive piece. Okay, so now you lay out your boat and you say, "Let's go."
Yeah, pretty much. So I just started building. But I already knew before I started it, I'm going to have to take it apart. Because obviously it's not going to go down any of those roads. You saw the video where it went. No way is that going to go down there. Just the hulls alone barely made it under that bridge. So for me to take it in one piece, why would you cut it up? Everybody says, well, how could I not?
You got a better way?
I got
right?
no,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
That's what I would say. Do you have a better way?
Yeah.
Because I already called Russia and asked if I could borrow their helicopter. They told me if we get squirrely, we're going to cut me loose. Right?
Yeah.
So, well, that's the answer to that question, which I see, a lot of people,
Right.
But
And the reason what happened is when we took it apart in one day, took it apart, put it on all the trucks in one day. That's all documented online. And then the next day we took it to San Diego.
So you loaded it up on the trucks one day,
One day.
and then they sat
They
overnight.
sat overnight. The next morning.
And then the next morning you transported.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now after we got it there, it sat in the parking lot that night. We couldn't do anything until the next day. So the next morning we started at 11 o'clock because they had to take the pieces to a yard. And then because they couldn't leave them all at the boatyard, there was just no room for them. So they had to start bringing them in one by one. So they started with one hull. But they only had one tractor and 7 pieces. So they brought in one hull. We launched it. And with, everybody said, it's not going to float. It's going to roll
tip over.
It's going to roll over. And before I ever got there, the naval architect from the yard, Hugo, says to me, well, that boat coming from the desert to the ocean, it's not going to fit. It's going to shrink 6 inches. And I go, well, which piece? I go, let me know which piece you think is going to shrink it. I'll fix it before I bring it. Well, that's not going to happen. It didn't happen. But I mean, he had to think, he's going to tell me what I can and can't do. Anyway, wrong.
Not going to work. Yeah.
Not going to work. So anyway, it would all shrink the same or expand the same.
Yeah.
Came from the same place. So what happened was we put it in the water, and Hugo comes with his crew while it's still in the sling, and
One of the hulls.
on one of the hulls, and he gets all of his big boys on there, and has them run back and forth to see if they can tip it over. Well, how are you going to do that? I mean, because most people are surprised that it didn't roll in the sling there as well. But here's the thing I thought. Here's my engine in the very bottom. I got this big old diesel down there. I've got all this stuff at the bottom of my hull. That means that this side of this hull would have to weigh more than my engine and the other side to do that.
Yeah. And there's nothing even on the top, right? It's not capped.
No.
Yeah.
So it would have to pull itself over. And why would it do that? So common sense says, how's that going to happen? Well, it didn't happen. They couldn't even they couldn't even get it to rock. So we called it the Hugo dance.
With them running back
Yeah,
and
them
forth.
running back and forth trying to sink the boat in the sling.
Man.
So anyway, it worked perfect. So before I started building it, I knew that all these pieces were going to have to come apart and go back together. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time in the boatyard or all that. So Hugo says, you're going to have to bring these pieces down and assemble them in our yard. And I go, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do it in the water. Well, you can't do that. It's not going to, you can't get all that stuff lined up. You can't. You got to do it in the yard. I said, okay, if I do it in the yard now I've got this huge boat. How am I going to get that thing over the edge with these cranes to put that in the water, because even when they picked up the pieces to put over, I had to turn the boat around because that crane could only reach over so far. So, I mean, I'm thinking the way I'm thinking, and he's thinking the way he's thinking. So I go, no, I'm going to do it in the water. So then my other friend's an engineer. He says, well, you're going to have to put these steel beams and hold it apart and get it all lined up. But I go, no, I'm going to put this hole in the water. I'm going to take my first piece because I've cut all the V notches you saw in my frames. And on top of that, I welded angle iron to the top piece. So now all these angle irons are going to stick inside that slot. So when you take it off out of that slot, they're going to go back in that slot.
It's only it would have to be off like a full notch, right? I mean, right?
Couldn't go anywhere. It would have to be off 4 feet. So it ain't going to happen. So when they put it together, so we put the first piece on this hull, and then I just took 4 little pieces of tubing because I had all the holes notched in or punched all the way through every frame and all of my beams. So they all had to line up. So I put, so I had to punch all these holes in my frame, and then when I was making my I-beams, I had to punch all the holes in there to match up all these holes on this frame and all the holes on the other frame so that they're perfect. So I had to do all that layout work by myself. And so anyway, it worked. I got it all together. So then when we put the first piece in, I took 4 little pieces of aluminum tubing, and here it is, it's on there. And there's no hole on this side, it's just one hole. And then I put 4 little pieces of tubing, and then I had the crane pick it up again. So when it picked it up, obviously it went like that. And then the other hole slid underneath. They just floated it over, set it down, and it locked itself exactly where it had to go. And then the next piece went on, 5 hours. It took longer for the truck to take the trailer back to the yard, disconnect that trailer empty, pick up the next piece, bring it out there. All we did was crane picked it up off the truck, swung it out, put it on.
Well, yeah, I remember you saying it was so sturdy, it was just sitting there in the water. You didn't even have to weld it back together that
No,
day.
I didn't weld it till the next day. I started welding it the next day. The next morning, I already had my welder, everything on board, got everything set up that night. The next morning, I started welding.
So
it
how do you start from, okay, I've got my model, I think it'll work. I've got some drawings, right? I'm going to start on this. You start buying metal, right? You start laying it out. And then you just go for it. I mean, that is a did you not, I mean, I'm sure you had to realize like this is a big project.
Yeah, but I don't really, there wasn't a time where I thought this is too much. I really didn't think that at all. So even my framework, so all of my frames, I had my own die made in Canada. So, you know, when I went to see boats that were being built out of aluminum, they've got the frame that's square or just flat. And then they weld another piece to it that they're going to screw their siding to and the wood and all that stuff. And I'm going, that's a lot of work. Why don't I just have a die made and that piece is part of it? So I just called Canada and I had to buy like, I forget, a truckload. And I had them all made 40-foot lengths. So I didn't. So the bigger I bought them, the less waste I had. So here comes all my frames that are pre.
Oh, those are all pre-cut.
No.
Oh.
I notched every one of those pieces.
Okay. But you had the mold, like the die, you call it.
Well, I had a punch press. I would punch all the holes. I'd punch all the notches. But the other thing was, so this piece was already made like that. So it was instead of having 2 pieces, I had 1 piece. So it saved me from welding all these pieces. So when I went to the boatyard and saw these guys welding this, they had to reach behind like this to weld this little piece to that piece. I'm going, I wouldn't want to do that all day. And then all the holes through the frames to get the wiring from one end to the other. Now you got this guy drilling all these 1 3/8 holes all day long. Going, no, I'm pre-punching everything. So I pre-punched everything.
It's not to say you didn't do a lot of welding.
And I did a lot of welding, yeah.
Even though you didn't reach around and do the backside, you did a lot of welding.
I didn't have to do
how
that.
How many pallets of wire do you think you ordered?
And that's the thing is I wasn't trying to document anything. I barely kept my receipts. I mean, I barely kept those. It's like, you know, that's how I am now. I mean,
well, you want to forget about it, right? Like, this is costing me too much money. Throw this thing away. I don't want to be reminded.
Right,
yeah.
so that's how that was.
Okay, so that brings me into something that I've seen a lot about. Okay, there's no way that guy or any one guy could build that boat by himself.
Oh, yeah. I believe you. I mean, I'm as surprised as anybody else, but it was just, that's what I mean, I could not wait.
Did you have, I mean, like, did you have help? I mean, maybe on the weekends, guys would come out and put in a few hours or something, or?
No, well, yes, but it was mostly drinking. So
Okay.
my girlfriend at the time, Robin, when my friends started coming, well, first of all, most people would go, that's a lot of work, it isn't going to happen, you know. So there wasn't much offering of help. But at the same time, like say, her brother-in-law did come over one day. He goes, let me help you grind that. So he was going to grind the side of the boat because you have to grind it to paint it. Well, it was just, you know, so I looked at him going, God, now I have to regrind all that. So now if you look at the pictures where you see where I ground it, you know, every one is like, you know, like a machine. And so even though it really didn't matter, I couldn't have it sitting there in the yard looking like that. So I reground everything. But I mean, underneath of the boat, I'd lay on my back, grind the bottom, grind the ceilings. Every inch had to be ground with 40 grit paper. And that was tough. And so what I would do when I'm grinding it, like the side of the hull, I would, well, a grinder, you know, big old black and decker grinder is heavy.
Yeah.
So
I can barely buff my car.
Oh,
Like, I don't know what you're talking
that's probably
about.
a buffer. I'm talking the big old
Yeah,
heavy.
it's got some bite to it.
So so when I'm grinding it, I never looked back. I only looked what I had to do. So I'm looking. So what I would do is, it took more for me to put it on the ground and then pick it back up. So I would just lean against the boat and then just kind of hold it, and then I would get it back up again and then start grinding again. But I never put it down. I would grind until I really couldn't hold it up anymore.
So you legitimately can say, and you did this by yourself.
I did it by myself. When my friends would come out, Robin would say, if they were going to come out for the weekend, she'd say, well, that's the weekend you're not going to be working, you know, because she knew that they were just coming out to hang out and
take pictures
and all that kind of stuff, and fantasize about what it was going to be like when it was in the water. So we'd be there at night sitting at the bar, because I put the bar in right away, and I bought a tapper, and I bought all the beer, and you know, so my friends were coming out there, and they got the tapper going, and they're just having a great time. You can see in some of the pictures of my video, my friends are sitting at the bar. So, you know, that was the goal. And so as far as helping, yeah, Steve, my friend Steve, would help me sometimes, but mostly he would come out on Saturday. By the time I got up out of bed, he would already be at my house. I mean, he was pretty enthused with it. And he could tell me everything I did from the last weekend that he was there. And he was documenting all that stuff as well. A lot of my pictures are from him, because I really didn't document much on my own.
Yeah.
I really didn't know that I would ever be posting this for the public to see. I had no clue.
Did you ever think about quitting?
No.
It never crossed your mind?
No. And the fact of the matter is, when it got done, I was kind of like, I was, before I launched it, I just kept looking for more to do, you know. You know, so now I'm just going, I can't do any more. I can't wire anything. I can't plumb anything. I can't do anything until it's in the water. So it was just, okay. So I started on March 10th, and then my goal was at that point where I'm going, okay, it's close. I'm going to try to launch it on March 10th. So it was exactly 5 years to the day. But what happened, it was raining, and you saw the crane kind of got stuck a little bit, so they wouldn't come out on the 10th. So it wound up being April 1st. April Fool's Day is when I really got it going. And that's when it came out. So,
did you have an idea of how long it was going to take you?
To build it?
Yeah.
No, I really didn't have a time schedule, because there were so many other things that I did in the meantime that I wasn't really like...
You didn't have like, okay, I got to have it done in 5 years. I got to have it done in 3 years.
No,
it's just,
no.
I'm going to bang this thing out.
Right.
And you were busting your ass on it.
Yeah. But I wasn't like on that mission to do that. I was like, I was enjoying every bit of it. So every morning
it wasn't work.
No. Every morning I woke up, I would, because the hill, you see when the cranes came in to pick it up, there's a hill where we had all the pieces. Well, every morning when the kids had to go to school, the neighbors were going to work, I would get my coffee, and I'd walk up that hill, and I'd sit at the top of the hill, and I'd look at everything. And then, because I really didn't have any drawings of what the whole boat was going to look like, you know. So I'm getting to the point where I'm going, okay, now I've got to get my windshield. So I would clamp pieces of wood up, and I'd look at it every morning for, you know, however long. Then I'd go down and I'd move it, you know. So there was no, you know, to me it didn't matter if that windshield was leaning like that or if it was forward like some tugboats are forward. I didn't get that. I just wanted cosmetically correct. I wanted to look at it and go, I like that. So it was more of eye pleasing because I figured everything above that water line and up doesn't matter. I mean, it's floating on that much. What do I care if my bow's sticking out like that or sticking like this? It was how I wanted it to look. So that's how I came about my design.
So
Just
look
looking at it
versus
every day.
so that's interesting to me, right? So now you've got look versus functionality, right? So just because something looks cool and you built it the way you thought it would look nice, how did it perform?
Oh, it was great. I mean, you can see in the videos, it cuts through the water like, you know, it's pretty efficient. It rode super smooth. I mean, you know, when I see people leaving in other 100-foot yachts in the marinas, I mean, they're taking every single plate and putting a cloth between it. They're doing all this before they go. When I would go up to Cabo, from Cabo to San Diego, it's a rough ride.
Uphill, I won't do that ride.
That's a rough
I'll
ride.
take a boat from San Diego to Cabo, but I'm not coming back. I'll fly back.
Yeah, so it's a rough ride, but it rode great.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're talking about form versus functionality, right? Does it look good or does it work good?
Yeah.
So it did both.
It did both. And I mean, there are a lot of features that I put on the boat that no one else had. I put 2 elevators in it.
You must have looked up the plans for that on YouTube.
No, I looked at my forklift
Okay.
and I made it just like my forklift. So pretty easy. You got 2 levers to come up, push the button, and it comes up and down. Yeah, hydraulic pump from Granger's and up or down. It worked great.
I remember, and then you put a glass bottom boat in it. You put a glass bottom.
Glass
in it?
bottom room in it. And so you can sit on one side and the couch over here and look out that panel, and the couch over there looked out this panel. So you know.
So then you decided on, I believe those are silver 92s, right?
They were silver 92s.
So a lot of people,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's not enough power. Oh, you got little V6s in there. What do you have to say about that? And why did you come to that?
Well, I had to start somewhere. It's like my multiple choice. Of course, it was too small, but they did work. I mean, they lasted for, 10 years before I ever replaced them. And they got me up and down the coast through Cabo to San Diego probably 6 times. And
That's a long haul. Did they give you any trouble? Were they reliable?
Never. Oh yeah, and I did some nasty things to those engines. I mean, you know me. I just go. Well, my air box was plugged. So,
I remember that.
Yes.
It was blowing pure black smoke. You did something crazy to
Yeah,
it.
I hosed it out with my garden hose, and stuck it in my inspection things on the side and blew it all out. Turned the engine over slow, pushed the water up out of the pistons, and cleaned it all up.
Decarbon.
Yeah, it worked good. Well, one time I got my bug sprayer, or, you know, a bug sprayer, and I filled it with diesel, and kind of, you know, just blew it into my air intake into my turbo, and it was cleaning it up pretty nice, and then it ran away on me. It was just everybody in the marina heard that thing run away.
Runaways. If somebody who doesn't know what a runaway is, it's a diesel engine that you have lost control of,
Right.
and it's going to rev to the moon typically until it implodes. It's going to explode.
Because all the
There's no more
diesel-
fuel metering. It's going to lose it.
No. So what I did was I had laying on my engine, my tank, I had a roll of duct tape that was still brand new and had the plastic on it. So this thing is like screaming. Everybody in the marina could hear it. So I grabbed that tape and I stuck it in the turbo and killed it. But other than
That's
that-
pretty much the only way to shut it
Yeah,
down.
I didn't have one of the.
Guillotine.
Yeah, I didn't have one, so I used that. But yeah, but I learned a lesson there, what not to do. I have lots of what not to do.
Yeah. What about people that say, there's no way one guy could lift up all those heavy components by himself and position them, weld them properly? I mean, how does this happen?
Well, the hard part was, I bought all my plates were 5 foot by 20 feet. So the bigger the sheet, the less welding I had to do. So in order to get those plates on the top, I had my forklift, and I made a little platform on my forklift where I could pick up the sheet, put it on the platform, pick up the platform, and get it halfway up. So after I got it halfway up, I took regular vice grips, the C clamps, clamped it on the edge, and then on the top, you saw all my angle irons that were going like my stringers were all going down there. So I would I took straps around my back, and I put straps to that plate, and I would walk backwards, angle by angle, and drag that plate up on top. They were 290 pounds apiece, and I drug every one up there by myself. And then when I did the hulls, on the side of my hulls, where
Nobody helped you.
nobody touched it, no one touched it. I mean, I'm out there in the desert by myself. Nobody's out there.
You're making it. You make it sound too easy.
It was easy. That was the whole thing. Everyone wants to make it hard. You know, if I was I've had so many people come by and tell me what I can't do or how I shouldn't do it, and then I would get the people that would come by and go, you know, you ought to do this. You ought to do that. So I'd see them coming. I'd go, here comes another yada, because they're going to have something I ought to do.
Did you listen to anyone's advice?
Most of it was criticism. I mean, there was a lot of, you know, I'd have to say the amount of people that were positive about it were very few. Everyone had something they wanted to give me information that they thought I might have overlooked. Oh, did you think of this? Did you think of that? So they always wanted to kind of like feel like they told me something that I didn't know, that I didn't figure out yet, and they knew the answer. So I had a lot of that, and then it got into the Noah thing. I mean, I had so many Noah. I mean, you couldn't tell me Noah joke that I had not heard. I mean,
So you get the boat done. First trip is to Cabo. Of course, you ended up doing a lot of tours on it, things like that. Celebrities came on it, chartered for weddings, all these different kinds of things. Did you build it with commercial intent?
no.
No.
I happened to get to Cabo, and we were just going to start cruising, having fun. And then we're anchored out, and you know, no interior on the boat.
Out of the harbor.
We were anchored right out in front of the Office restaurant in Cabo Bay there. And as the other tour boats would come by, they would tell everybody on their tours, because they make up these stories that you know, none of those are true. So they'd come by, and we hear them telling all their passengers, oh yeah, the Barbara Streisand owns this boat, and you know, they'll say something about another boat just for entertainment things. So we'd hear all that. And then so then one day a guy came out and asked me if I wanted to turn it into a charter boat. He thought that we could book it up and everything. I go, well, I thought, well, okay, I could do that, you know, a little bit here and a little bit there.
It's not like you've ever been in business before for yourself.
No. So I thought the logistics in Mexico, I go, sure. So, okay. All right, we'll do that. So, no, it went fine. We finally wound up going into a partnership with the director of the marina in Cabo, Enrique Fernandez. He was great. And, you know, he really helped a lot. And there was a lot of firsts that we did with the boat. Like, for example, you know how it is, the importation papers.
The temporary import permit.
TIP, So I was one of the first boats to get that 10-year, because they would give you temporary ones. But Enrique was on some board in the Capitol, and they were pushing to get 10 years so that you could do.
Or else you'd have to take it out of country for a little while.
Every time, yeah. So
yeah, how long do you have to take it out for a long period of time, or
you know? No, I don't. I never had to, because
he worked
I was
with you.
the first one to get that 10-year one, and so he always reminds me of that whenever I talk to him. Remember when I got that? Yeah, I remember. So
well, that's interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, he was the guy that got that bill passed. He was pretty influential in Mexico City. So I had problems down there with crew, and you know, the other boats didn't like the idea that I had American girls working on board, and that they thought that was why I was getting more charters than they were. But I had bathrooms that flushed. I had doors on my toilets. You know, those are little things that lots of people like, and so that's the reason. But anyway, they thought it's because I had all these beautiful women working on board, and so you know, they always get immigration down there to bother me and do all this stuff, and Enrique took care of them.
Haters.
Yeah,
that's what we call them.
Haters. I love them.
So you run the boat as a successful charter business. You know, doing that for a while. Then you said, okay, I'm done. I'm retiring. And then you just started to travel. From what I understand, a lot of area, a lot of distance, through the Panama Canal a couple times.
Right. After I stopped doing the charters, I took the boat back up to Ensenada, pulled it out of the water again, and then I repowered it. So I put all brand new engines in it. So I went to the little 300 horse Detroit 2-strokes to Komatsu 640 four-stroke. Big difference. You know, big difference.
How did you, going back to that, how did you decide on what prop size at the time when you had the Detroits in there? You just get, never mind. Never mind.
I saw them online and go, let's try those. You know, so you don't know until,
Oh my gosh.
you know, and that's what I did. You'll see that in the yard, I already got the props on there. Well, they were just 3-blade small ones. I thought, I only got 300 something horsepower. I'm not going to put the huge.
So you just
but
guessed.
I've got a 4-foot tunnel that I put them in, and that was another reason I put tunnels in the boat instead of a strut down below. So that meant that my engine was sitting only 1 degree out of level. So my shafts went straight back. And then
Well, that's going to lessen vibration as well,
lessen
right?
vibration. Also, on my strut, I didn't have a V strut, so I had a T. So I ran straight across from the bottom of my tunnel, and then another one in the middle.
Oh,
So then I got no vibration out of that whatsoever. So it was super solid.
wow.
And then I was able to bring the boat up. I was actually able to put it up on a sandbar, let the tide go out, and clean the bottom on a sandbar. So I was able to, as the tide went down in Bar Navidad, I get there and I see in the evening, I go, God, that sandbar wasn't there a little while ago. So the tide's going down, and pretty soon the sandbar's up out of the water like a couple of feet. It's it's perfectly flat, pure sand. And I go, man, I could probably get on top of that, let the tide go down, clean the bottom of the boat, paint it before the tide came back in. And that's what we did. So I saved myself about 20 grand by painting that in one day. You know, if I was in a boatyard, you know how long it would take them to paint the bottom of your boat?
Well, you got to pay them to do it, right? You can't paint your own boat in the
No, you
boatyard.
can't do that, no. So I go, okay, I'm going to go do that. So then,
And you had respect for the ocean. You didn't let your paint go in the water or anything like that, right?
No. And here's the thing.
I've always seen you to be and noticed you to be a conservationist. You know, you're not leaving a big footprint.
I recycle. I've had a plastic recycling thing in Mexico.
Oh, I remember that. You made your own docks boards out of plastic that was the kids in the town in Guatemala, where you had them getting plastic, trash,
Right.
and then you had a contest. Whoever would bring you the most plastic, they got like a prize or something.
I'd give them bicycles. I'd give them.
And then so you would take that plastic and you made a press, and you were making those boards for your dock.
Boards out of it.
Yeah,
So
out of trash.
Right. So.
But you can't use different types of plastic.
No, you can. That's what they say. So they say that you can't mix plastics. Well, that's too bad. I have a piece of those samples on the bus here.
Okay.
So you could see where I mixed every kind of plastic together. I even put sand and gravel into it.
To make it like a little concrete.
Just to see what would happen. So my theory was, so I can put anything into it, whether it doesn't even have to be plastic. It's a filler. So it's kind of like cement. You have the cement that's binding all the rocks and gravel together. So you have the plastics melt at different temperatures. But so when I would extrude those, all that, the ones that melted first, I forget all the names. I'm getting really old.
Well, I remember hearing about this when you were on the island in Guatemala, and you were saying, "Oh, I'm making this extruder so that I can make boards for my dock because I can't find good quality lumber."
Yeah, and I wanted to clean the area up, and so I'm going to do another YouTube video on that because I have all the pictures of the machine I made, the grinder I had, the guys, the boatloads of plastic that people are bringing me. I mean, boatloads full. The marinas, Ram Marina, that had all these 2-stroke oil cans that they were
just throw it in there,
trying to get rid of. So they would bring our Ponga was, like an 18-foot Ponga that would be stacked with these boxes of 2-stroke oil because everybody in Guatemala had 2-stroke motors, so they couldn't get rid of those cans. So I took them all. I bought a grinder from Taiwan, had it shipped over, and then I shipped to the States, and then the guy that owned Ram Marina brought it down through. When he's in the States, California, so when he shipped things down, he put my grinder in there, and then I had the grinder down there. So
now,
I had guys.
Now you're probably maybe the first plastic recycling place in Guatemala.
Oh, they were
possible.
They were really happy about it. They had a lot of fun just picking up the plastic. I mean, they were bringing it all over. I've got pictures of all that.
So all right. So the boats. Now you're on vacation.
Yeah.
You go all around, right? You do Guatemala. You had an island in Guatemala, up through the Panama Canal a couple times in the boat. Now, you I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. So now, how was the boat? Was it awesome? Did you like it?
Oh, it was great. Going through
What
the
what
canal.
would you have changed about it?
I'd have made it 20 feet longer.
Really? Yeah. You think that would have made that much of a difference?
No, it would have looked a lot cooler. Yeah, I mean, because
It would have looked more sleek. You're right.
Yeah, because it looks pretty cool right now, but because I like the longer, lower look. Because I mean, you know, everybody's.
It looks aerodynamic in
Yeah,
a sense.
I don't
yeah.
care. It's kind of like chroming your motorcycle. It doesn't have to go fast if it looks good.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, they said if it don't go, chrome it.
Chrome it, exactly.
I mean, are you happy that you did that project? I mean, that was a big portion
That
of your
was,
life.
That was a life-changing event for me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I met more people, met more friends. I mean, so many people I met from the States, from all over the world. I mean, I've stayed with people in Sweden and Scotland, and you know, everybody's house is open to me. Anywhere I want to go, I have friends now that I've met on board, and they would. I mean, and I've taken not too much advantage of it, but I do. I like to go visit them, and they're happy to have me there for a day.
So you would have made it 20 feet longer. No
Yeah,
big deal.
just that's all. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no other
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Everything worked fine on it. The elevators were cool. You know,
Plenty of living space.
Yeah,
How
lots
many
of
square
space.
footage did you calculate of?
Well, it was 100 by 40, so there's 4,000 square foot on one level.
And it was
then-
3.
Yeah, and there was 3 levels. So you know, where you had the hulls down below, so I had 100 foot by 8 foot there on each hull. But I never really got down because then I get the pointy part.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I had to figure that out.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had
Who
to
cared?
figure that out.
It was plenty.
Yeah, it was plenty.
It was plenty.
It was more than I could use, so that was okay.
So now let's get to the meat. So, what are some of the craziest things that have happened to you on that boat? What is the single wildest thing that happened when you owned this boat?
Well, Sylvie's in the hospital having her feet operated on. I'm in a little restaurant having breakfast. My secretary calls and says, "They're stealing your boat." I'm like, "Who? What? How can that be?" You know, first of all, on the way back from her surgery, I had to buy a new battery because my port engine wouldn't start. So I was having to jump it until I got a new battery. So I was going to pick up that on the way back. Well, I've got pictures of these guys at the security camera coming down the boat with all their captains and everybody they're going to take to steal my boat. And so they come down.
That's
and-
quite a feat getting that thing out of there on one
on
engine.
one engine, yeah. My crew said they were scared because.
Well, it's just going to spin in one place.
Right, and they said it was a heck of a thing getting out of that harbor, you know, because the seas are coming in, and it wasn't easy. No, and I said, whoever that guy is, I want to hire him, you know, because that was a tough thing to do. I've been on that boat a long time.
You'd almost, I don't even
wouldn't
know how
have
they
tried
do that.
No, I wouldn't have tried that. Anyway, the boat's gone.
The boat's gone.
The boat's gone.
You got a phone call. It's stolen. You're like, what? Like,
Yeah,
are you even kidding me?
yeah.
What the?
So I
Kaleidoscope is gone.
Right. So I'm in this little restaurant. My breakfast just came. I throw a bunch of money on the table. I run down to the hospital. I go in and I said, I got to speak to Sylvia. I have a problem. And they're going, no, you can't go in the operating room. I'm going, well, I just need to talk to her. She's not unconscious or sedated or anything. I just need to talk to her. No, you can't do that. I said, look, I have to go. Tell her I'll be back. There's an emergency with the boat. I didn't want to tell her what. So I blasted up to the marina. It was about 35 minutes away, and I get there. Obviously, it's gone, and then these guys on board took the phones away from all my crew. They took all my crew with them, so all my crew was on board.
They're kidnapped
They
essentially.
basically kidnapped my crew. So
How many people?
there was 5 of them.
Okay, 5 total.
So, but my captain said, no, I'm not going. So he stayed on the dock. He goes, you can't do this, even though he knew the people that were taking it, and he knew they were associated with me. He goes, you're stealing their home. You're not stealing their boat. You're stealing their home. That's different than taking someone's boat. So fortunately, that worked out for me because I was living on it. So that made a big difference on my getting the boat back.
Okay.
And so after the boat was gone, then I can't remember a lot of the events, whether I stopped and picked up the lawyer first. And no, I went to look at the next marina because there's only 2 marinas that could be in because you can't get
too
in.
big, yeah.
You can't get into every marina. So I drove up to the next marina up in La Cruz, and I'm looking at everywhere. It's not there. So they must.
Kind of hard to miss if it
It's
was
kind of
there.
hard to miss. I looked around, it wasn't there. I looked under everything, and so anyway, it's gone. So then they're on their way down the coast.
100 feet long, 40-foot beam. What was the
40
beam?
feet, 40-foot
okay.
beam.
100 by 40.
Yeah, it's like 2
Okay.
houses. So
It's a big girl.
yeah. So I run back, then I get the attorney and tell her what happened, And then I can't remember. I think I might have gone back to get Sylvia first, and then we picked up the attorney on the way back, because I know she was with me when we pressed charges against these people.
Because you knew who it was.
I knew who it was, yeah. And so I went to the marina, to the Ministry of Public, and I'm trying to press charges against these guys with the attorney. And they're going, the Ministry of Public won't look at me. He's just looking everywhere but at me. And he's saying, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to press charges against these people? And all this stuff. So he's really trying to talk me out of it, because he already knows who they are and what's going down. And so he was already alerted. So I go, no. I go, they stole my boat. They kidnapped my crew. I want to press charges. He goes, once you start this, but he wouldn't look at me. He was talking to my attorney. She was telling me what he says. And he says, once you start this, you can't stop it. It's going to be a big thing. And I go,
Well, they
okay.
stole my boat.
Yeah. I'm going,
Well,
okay.
yeah.
What point? I get that. So we went through this whole thing of, it was hours of being in there and writing all this stuff up and what the chain of events and everything that happened, and pressing charges against these people. And then, so then I went back to the director of the marina and talked to him, and he offered because we had nothing. The only
You had your wallet.
I had my wallet. That was it. I had my credit card and some cash on me. I had no toothbrush. I had nothing. Sylvie just got out of the hospital. She's in a wheelchair. We have nowhere to go.
Yeah, you're basically in Mexico with just your wallet.
Yeah. So I could have gone to a hotel, I guess, and got a room or whatever, but they offered us to stay in his room overlooking the marina. So he got on the radio and called every marina. Well, this is one line. And he talked to every marina from San Diego all the way down the coast that the boat was stolen. These guys are armed. They've kidnapped my crew. Don't let them in the marina. Don't sell them fuel. All these things that, just watch for the boat. So now nobody knows where the boat is. I'm trying to find it. I'm asking people if I even tried, I know a lady there that had an airplane. And I asked her, I go, I'll pay you to fly me around and find it. She didn't want to be involved. I'm not even getting involved with these people. I don't want to be any part of that.
Yeah.
So now no one wants to touch me because they're all afraid of these people. And so we stayed at the marina for 2 nights. And then I think the wife kind of wasn't, you can kind of feel when someone's not uncomfortable with you. So we said, well, we'll just go ahead and we'll leave. So we went and got a room downtown. Everybody's telling us to look under the car every time we get in it and all that.
No shit,
stuff.
like it's gonna blow up or something.
Yeah, so they're going, well, because they know these people.
Yeah.
So they're going. So now
This is the real deal.
That's the real. So now that I've pressed all these charges and everything against these people, it's not so good. So now no one wants to be around me or help us.
I wouldn't have rode in the car with you.
Anyway, no. Well, I wouldn't let you. So I've ridden with you before.
So the boat was only 10 miles away.
Right.
Okay.
So they took it from
Puerto
Vallarta Marina or Paradise Village down to Yalapa, where I was doing my charters from. Well, when they got in there, then they anchored the boat and everything, and they're walking around. They're telling everybody, this is our new boat. We bought this boat. Because I know the people in the restaurants that own the restaurants, and because I'd go there all the time. And they all knew me. They knew it was my boat. But now these guys are saying, this is my new boat. This is ours now. And so anyway, so my crew was still on board. And so they were tied up to a mooring wall. And then later that evening, they left that harbor, the bay, and now they're out in the ocean. And so
But they got the crew off.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
So the crew is still on board. Now it's getting dark. They're offshore. So now these 2 pongas come out there with a bunch of guys on it with guns, and they take all my crew. And they put them on the ponga. They take them to shore, and then they put them in black SUVs, and they take them to a grocery store parking lot, dump them all off, and say, if you say anything or do anything, we'll kill you and we'll kill your family. So my crew was scared to death. They didn't know. I have not videos. I have recordings of talking to them and then having them tell me what it was like while they were on there.
Wow.
So they were pretty scared. So then after that, then the boat was gone. We couldn't find it. And that's when I started looking for it. You know, that's when I was trying to get. So it was gone for like 10 days. So they had the boat for 10 days.
So at this point, it's 10 days gone, and you're like, damn, where's the boat?
It's 10 days gone. I'm going to the U.S. consulate. I'm doing everything I can to get this back. So Sylvia calls one of her girlfriends that are down in Barra Navidad, and that's like 100 miles south of Puerto Vallarta. And so, and that's where we were before we took it to Puerto Vallarta to charter. So she calls, and her name was Julie, and so she tells Julie, and so Julie puts it on the net, and it wasn't minutes until someone calls back and says, "We're anchored right next to it. You know, it's right here in Tanaquitita." So they gave us the coordinates and everything of where the boat was.
You weren't getting any help from the Mexican authorities at this point.
No, they were pretty much blocking everything that I would do, making it very difficult. Everything was really, because they all knew the guys that took it, and they already knew the process.
And they were going to get a piece. If you were to pay the ransom, they were going to get a piece of the ransom.
Right.
So it's better for them to work against you. You
Right.
just pay the ransom,
Right.
pay everybody, everybody's fine.
Right. They would say, for example, if this was your house, we need 13 people in Puerto Vallarta to come testify and swear and notarize their statement. So I had to have the marina director from the 2 marinas that I was in. They had to come. So I had to organize all these people to come at a certain time. They all had to be there in one meeting. And you know how hard that is to get 13 different people that are going to go in there one at a time and take care of all that. And so that was one of the roadblocks. But
They were making it impossible.
They were making it pretty tough.
So you've got word that the boat's 100 miles down.
Right. And so now I've got to, so I go back to the American consulate, and then she calls the Mexican Navy and tells them where it's at. So then the Mexican Navy goes the next morning. They leave right away, and they get there the next day. Because it's 100 miles, their little boats don't go but 10 miles an hour, you know, so they're just slugging away down there. And they get there, and then they're going, well, where is it? They couldn't find it. But we gave them the coordinates. They got within minutes, you know. And so then we had to tell them about more information. So they find it. So then now the people that are on the sailboats all around there are videotaping and taking pictures of the Navy coming in, lowering down their Zodiacs, all their men in black and their guns, and now you've got the Marines on the beach that are also connecting at the same time. So the Marines are on the beach in case anybody jumps off the boat or swims or whatever to shore. Now you've got the Marines on the shore waiting for them. So then now they circle the boat with the Zodiacs, with the speakers, calling everybody up on the deck. So now they've got all the people that are on the boat now, they're all standing on the front of the deck, and the Navy boards, and all this takes place and everything. Whatever they did, I don't know, because the Navy wouldn't give me a report. So that was another interesting thing. They still would never, even when we needed that, they still wouldn't give us a report.
Like a police report.
Yeah,
Incident report.
Right, so they would have had a report of everything that was done, names, everybody that was on board, all that. But it wasn't.
They wouldn't state who the names were.
Wouldn't give me that. So then they decide, okay, well, they kept the captain on board. Everybody else they let go.
They released them?
Yeah, they released all the other people that were on board. They just kept the captain. So that he had to drive the boat back. And so when he brought the boat back, the Navy was on board, and they're all on the deck and everything when it comes in. So the next morning, they came in about 6 o'clock or around there. Yeah, in the morning.
They ran it all night.
Yeah, they ran it all night to get back. And so when they get there, I have some friends that were staying in the hotel right above the marina. So 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call. The kaleidoscope's back. It's here. Because, I had straight exhaust on it. You could hear it coming from across the marina. So anyway, so that was like, it was heart-wrenching, to know that it's back and to drive out there and have it be there. It was like heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
So
well, it was your home, right?
Yeah, it was everything to me.
I mean, you poured everything into that.
Yeah,
thing.
there was a lot of me in that boat. I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's back.
So what happens to the captain? Is he released?
They let him go.
The guy who was on the boat when they approached the Navy, and then he drove it all the way back because he's probably the only one who could drive the thing. He got it to the dock. They chained it up, and they said, "All right, well, see you later."
Yeah. They turned the boat over to the police department, federales or whatever they were. So it was turned over to them. So now they have security on board. So now the lawyer from these guys comes running down the dock. He wanted to get on board because he didn't take off my computer. He didn't take off anything. They didn't realize that the Navy was going to come get that boat. They thought they had it for the next 6 years. Or
So they had all the time in the world to strip it and do everything, go through all your stuff.
They went through everything looking, because my paperwork on board, it's called a blue book. And the blue book from the BVI, that's all you need is that blue book in your hand. I can't sign it over to anybody. There's no signature on it. Whoever has possession of that blue book owns the boat.
And you have to be in possession of the boat as well, right?
No, you just got to have that blue book.
But don't you have to have it on the boat?
Yeah, got to have it on the boat. They knew it was on the boat because I've had to show it every time I wanted to get a permit or an inspection or whatever.
Okay.
I could show it. So now when they give you that book, it says, do not let this out of your hand. Do not hand it over to anyone. I have copies of that. So when I come to you, I can show you my blue book. I can open it because it all folds up. And then here's this big paperwork of my documentation of this boat. And I have copies of that. And I can give you a copy of that. I can show it to you, but I'm not going to let you take it. So that's...
You don't even hold it.
You don't even hold it. So, and these guys know that. And so that's what they were looking for, was that book. They tore my room apart. They looked everywhere for that thing, and they didn't find it. I mean, I know that boat.
Okay, but wait.
I know that boat.
But wait, you weren't even back. You weren't even back on the boat yet.
No, I wasn't back on the boat.
So the boat comes in. You're like, all right, cool. My boat is back. Let's get this show on the road. Get these shitheads off my boat. Let's go. And then what?
Can't. So, can't do that. So now it's turned over.
You can't have your boat back.
I can't have my boat back. So now it goes into a legal system. So now
It's evidence.
It's evidence. It's locked up. They can't come on. I can't get on.
Evidence against who? Because they already released the perpetrators.
Right.
But either way,
Right.
they're trying to give you a hard time.
Right. So they're all gone. So now Jerry Coates was the guy's name that came down there to the lawyer that was going to come flash his importance, and the Navy wouldn't, the police wouldn't let him on. So they wouldn't let anybody on. So now they're bummed because they needed to get back on.
Jerry Coates, is this an American guy?
He's a Mexican guy, but he has an American name.
We're gonna bleep his name.
Jerry,
we're not gonna put any names in this section.
No, Jerry we can post because he's a pretty nasty guy. He's a piece of work.
Okay.
He's a piece of work. So
it's best for people to be aware.
I'd like them to know who Jerry is. He's in the newspaper all the time down there.
Okay.
I mean, I have newspaper articles on him of now he's doing this, now he's doing that. So his name is out there already.
Okay.
So
he comes down. He's going to get the boat out of Hawk.
Right.
Get it away from the cops. No dice.
Happen, no. So anyway, so now I can't get on either. So I'm still staying in these little hotels all over the place. I'm moving around. We try to...
And you probably want to move around, right?
Right, we want to move around. So Sylvia had some friends. They said, well, you can come over to our condo. So we went over there for one night. And then the next morning they go, we really can't have you here. We're going to have to ask you to leave. So we did. And so then we're just going from hotel to hotel, just trying not to stay in the same place more than 2 nights.
Like in the movies.
Like in the movies, just like that. So it's kind of... just kind of watching out there for everything. I mean, now we're going to Walmart, we're going to stores trying to get, something to eat, toothbrushes and, some clothes for Sylvia. I mean, we have nothing. And so we started off with one bag that you buy at the grocery store. You got to get this. So now the next day we got 2 bags. So now every time we move from the hotel room, now we've got...
Get your bags, right? You don't even have luggage.
We've got all these grocery bags that we're carrying around every day for a long time.
That's a different style of living compared to the boat.
That was a different style, yeah. But it was
probably fun at the time.
It was kind of fun. I have to say,
exciting at least.
It was exciting fun. And so... because you didn't know what was happening from day to day, really.
Okay, so now you're like, okay, how am I going to get this thing back? The police have it.
Right.
It's in government custody.
Right. Now,
is anybody trying to help you?
Everybody knows about it. Everybody's coming to me and saying, I have a brother, I have an uncle, I have a friend. Just, you give them $10,000 and they'll get this thing back for you. It's like...
And did you give anybody money to help you?
No. I did pay my lawyer, but... Now, all of a sudden, her fees just went through the roof. It was like crazy. I'm going, done, you're fired. So I fired her right away. And then then we knew another friend of ours that was Well, he wasn't even really a friend yet. He was an acquaintance that was selling tickets for us. So he calls us and said he could help, which is like everybody says that. So I asked Sylvia, I said, what do you think of him? And she says, well, I don't know. She goes, do you want to go hear what he has to say? And I said,
So he just calls you out of the blue and says, "Hey, you
well,
need help?"
he called us because he had
He had other business.
we had another little deal together, and that he was calling about that other little sale we had
to follow up,
right. So he was
with legitimate business.
yeah, it was about some cameras I had on the boat. So he was calling about the cameras and how they were going to be paid and all this stuff. And Sylvia says, I'm sorry, right now we have bigger problems than those cameras. So she explained to him everything that happened. And he says, I could help you. And just give me 10
Because he didn't even know the boat was stolen.
No.
Okay.
So he says, I can help you. And
he says, give me what? 10 minutes?
Give me 10 minutes of your time, meet me, and just let me explain how I can help you in 10 minutes. So
why wouldn't he just tell you over the phone?
Some things are better discussed face to face.
Okay.
So he says, meet me in the parking lot at the mega grocery store and in a certain time. And so we were there. He shows up. He gets in our car in the back seat and he's talking and we're telling him everything that happened and where we're at with the whole thing and the lawyers and just the whole thing. So we're telling him the whole story. Then he says, I can help you. I have a family member that can help you. And we go, okay. And Sylvia says, what's his name? And he says, well, we just call him compadre. She goes, he's your family member and you don't know his name? We just call him this. And Sylvia goes, well, I want to know his name. And I go, Sylvia, he can't tell you his name. Get that. So anyway, so he says, I can help you. He goes, he's out of town. I can drive you out to talk to him. And then I think he can help you.
Meaning out of city limits, not on vacation. He's out of town, like not in this town.
It was a 4-hour drive out into the desert.
We won't say location.
We won't say
it was far.
We just say it's quite a ways out.
Inland.
Inland. So we go, okay. So, well, we thought about it for a little bit. So he gets out of the car, and then we're talking it over, and I go, well, there's not much else we can do. It's not going to cost us anything. All we're going to do is drive out.
And he was one of the only ones who offered you for free help.
Right.
Everyone else is saying, give me money, give me money.
Right,
he goes, you know what, I'm just going to help you out.
Right. So
I'll see what I can do.
Right. We're just going to talk to him and see if he can or can't. So we get there. So we get in his car. We drive for 4 hours out into nowhere, and we meet his family.
What time of day?
It was during the day.
Okay, so you were out there in the afternoon?
Right, we were there in the afternoon. But by the time we got back, we went from there to Topeka, to the Capitol, and talked to the prosecuting attorney again and everything. And I hired our friend lawyer, so we hired him. So
on the way on this 4-hour drive.
On the way back.
Okay.
Okay, on the way back. So, but while we were there and we talked to his family member, he says, so he didn't speak any English, and our friend was doing all the translation. And so after we were done explaining everything and talking to him, he just gets on his phone, goes like that, gets on the phone, says, get these guys on the boat tonight. Done. We go back. The Ministry of Republic's waiting for us. A bunch of police officers.
To welcome you onto your boat?
Yeah. So we had to go to their office. But when we're there, this was 11 o'clock at night by the time we got back, they're all waiting for us. And so they follow us over to the boat. They go, okay, you can get on. Sylvia, you can go on for 20 minutes. And when you get off, Clyde can go on for 20 minutes because we have nothing still. So she is going to be flying back to Scotland. She needs her passport. She needs other things, clothes and suitcase and all that. So she went on for her 20 minutes. And then the guy says, okay, it's your turn to go on. So I went on. And then he says, then she went on with me. She goes, can I go with him? So she did. And then that's when we went through everything.
Was your book still there?
My blue book was still there. I had money on board. It was still there. Sylvia had a ring that I bought her. And what happens when they came, because I had the doors, I always lock the doors when I leave anyway, because my crew's on board. So we locked the doors. They came through the window And when they came through the window, when she was going in for her surgery, she left her ring laying on the dresser and by the window. And so when they came in, they must have knocked this cloth that was on top of the ring on top of it. They didn't know it was there. So when she got there, that was there. And then she also had a silver locket that had the ashes, part of the ashes from her son. And so that was pretty, precious to her.
Yeah.
And for sure you would think, because it was a nice locket and it was still there. So they really didn't take anything. My laptop was still there. They thought they had the boat. There was no reason for them to take anything.
Yeah.
So, those
But
things were still
so
there.
now you've got it back. So you were only allowed to go on for a specified amount of time.
Right.
And then what happened? You just started to work it through the court system, and they eventually gave it back.
Right. No, it went through. It went through a lot. This will make you laugh. There was a stack of papers like this. I have a photograph. I take pictures of everything. I record everything when I would go into these meetings. I had a recorder with me. I tried to record all the conversations, but they were all in Spanish as well. So, but I still have all that. There's a stack of papers like this. So when I went there, I said, I don't have a copy. I said to the Ministry of Public, I would like a copy of all those papers. And he goes, well, our copy machine isn't working, but here, go. There's a copy. There's a place down the street where you get copies made. He goes, here. So here's the whole complete file.
You could have just threw it in the trash.
I have, yeah. I have the complete originals of every single paper from day one in a stack. So I take it down there, and these guys charge me to, copy them all and give me mine, and I take that back. So I'm going, what the heck? How can you do that?
So let me just recap. So the boat gets stolen, right? You can't get it back. You're running into walls everywhere. The government's not helping you. You're just jammed up. Fortunately, out of the blue, an acquaintance calls you and says, my family member can probably help you. And all of a sudden, you go out, you meet this guy, he makes a phone call, and you're good.
And we're on the boat. We don't have it back. We don't have possession of it, but we were on it, which no one else could do. And
With a simple phone call.
a simple phone call. It wasn't.
Did he seem like he was a government official?
No.
No.
He seemed like a really nice guy.
Really?
He was a very nice.
Was he nice? He was nice?
He was a very nice guy.
Not intimidating, nothing
No,
like that.
no,
Businessman, maybe.
Super nice guy.
Really? Wow.
And obviously.
Well, he did it out of the goodness of his heart, right? You
Right,
didn't have to
right.
offer him money or anything.
No.
He just said, this is not right.
Right. Pretty much.
Give them their home back. It's a nice home, but give it back.
So then I got.
You didn't have to plead with this guy or reason with him or ask
No,
him?
all we did was tell him.
Just told him the story?
We just told him the story.
Like, they stole our boat.
Yeah, but there was more to it than that and everything. So then.
Because you were telling him how they were jacking you and taking all.
I had to
doing
tell
all-
the whole story of
about-
why and how it happened. So that's why we didn't get back till 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
It wasn't like it's a couple.
It's
of
like
minutes.
one of these nights.
Right. It wasn't like we just spent a couple of minutes with him and we're done. So it took more than that to convince him of what was going on. So.
So then how did you actually get back on the boat? Like, at some point,
Okay.
they said, here's the keys, I'll see you later.
Right. So now I'm going. So now that I go and have all of my friends testify about I own the boat, I live on the boat, that's my home, all that kind of stuff, and just every day it was something else. Now you need the marina to do this. Now you need to go to the port captain and have him do this. So every day there was something else they had me doing to line these people up. And so then they said, oh, okay, well now that you've done all this, now these guys want to bring their witnesses that they own the boat. We're going, who? How could that? What witnesses would you have that prove that you own the boat? Who would you think they've got? My crew. They had my crew scared enough to testify that these guys owned the boat.
I never heard this part.
So now my crew is against me in every possible way. And so a lot went down with that. It went to the point of even, and then my crew winding up telling me, if you pay us 5 years advance salary, we'll testify for you.
Like I said, there was eventually a point where they said, okay, here's your boat back. Goodbye. How long did that take?
Okay, well, it took quite a while.
Like a month, 2 months, a year? The other day?
It was probably, it's hard.
What would you speculate?
Uh,
a month?
no, it was more than that. Maybe a couple, 3 months.
Wow. And then eventually just said, all right, we're done.
No, they didn't, it wasn't like that at all. Then after my crew testified against me and everything, then um, then they wanted to. Now it has to go to court because I already done all this, so it's getting up to a court date. So then finally, they want to have me go to court with a lawyer or a judge that they know. So we went to this court, and I'm sitting in court with this, and all these guys are doing it's all Spanish. My lawyer's talking, and they're talking, and everything is going back and forth, and then pretty soon it's done. And then we walk outside, and I didn't realize that we had won. And even though that judge was their friend, the lawyers that I had were pretty good. So
I mean, you were just basically there. You're just there.
I was just there. I just
You're not
showed up.
saying
I'm
anything.
just sitting there. And then they asked me if I have anything to say. I'm going,
I don't even know that you
yeah,
asked me that question.
yeah, I have no idea how I could even come across, but everybody knew Spanish. So it all came across, and then when we were done, I had won. So, but now it still wasn't that easy. Even though I won, it still takes a ton of more paperwork. So it was on and on and on. So then I went back to my little, by then, now I have an apartment. So I'm staying in an apartment downtown just by myself. Sylvia flew back to Scotland, and now I'm by myself there. And I'm just waiting for things to happen. So finally they call me, and it was about, I don't know, it was in the evening, maybe 9 o'clock, and I'm in this little tiny apartment downtown, and they call me and say, okay, you're on the boat tonight. I go, what?
At 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah. So that's how everything happened. Even when I got back on that time, it was like 11 o'clock at night. So everything.
Who called you? Your lawyer? Or
no, my friend.
your friend?
Yeah, my
Oh,
friend.
that same friend?
Yeah, my same friend that got everything rolling.
So he was still helping you this whole time?
He helped me. He was there to every day. I didn't do anything without him being there. He was there every day for me. He could not have been a better guy. Never charged me $1. He had Airbnbs that he would let me stay at on the beach, swimming pools overlooking the bay, you know, and then when he would rent that one out, he'd move me to another one. So I'm up there really like on
And he's the one, that's so funny, right? That you didn't get a call from your attorney or not from the court or the police or government agency. It's this guy with the family member that notifies you.
Right. And he still calls me now. I mean, we're still really good friends. Had it not been for him, I never would have gotten it back.
Wow.
I mean, he is the one that really got my boat back for me. You know,
So you got it, and then you said, okay, I'm out of here?
yeah.
Not a safe place for you to be then.
No. So I get on the boat, but they just gave me possession of it. I could be on the boat, but I couldn't move it.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't take it out of the harbor. I couldn't leave the area. I could sit on it, and that was it. But until I couldn't sell it, I couldn't do anything with that boat till they released it. So that went on for quite a while. And then, but I did have a guy that wanted to buy it. So he gave me a deposit on it and said that when I have all that cleared up and I get it released and I have the papers that release it, then he'll buy it. So I did that. And so he gave me the deposit because he wanted it. But by that point, that's when I was ready to sell the boat. I needed to be away from all that. I needed to be out of Mexico. I needed to move on and get that part of my life. As much as I loved the boat, the hardest part for me was the day that I pulled it into the marina that the guy that bought it from me was with and touching it for the last time. It's tough.
Walking off.
Yeah.
Did you look back?
No.
No?
But
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of good memories there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, finally got it back. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a big chunk of your life. I can't imagine all the memories.
Yeah, I mean, so many people. I've met so many people. I mean, Snoop Dogg chartered it from me. I did Pepin, the free dive. The guy that did the world's record for the free dive. He did that off the back for ESPN.
How many people got married on that thing?
Oh.
What would you guess?
Oh, I don't know.
A couple hundred?
I don't know, but I know on the Millennium, one of the CEOs of Microsoft married his wife at midnight on the Millennium.
On that boat?
remarried her.
What'd you charge him? $200?
Yeah, I just wanted to be close to him. No, super nice guy. It was an incredible family. They came. They came from all over the place. I think they were Colombian. Part of the family was Colombian, but they came from all over the world. You know, they were just super nice.
Yeah, you must have met a lot of nice people.
Yeah, I could say it. Snoop Dogg, Tupac or something was on board.
Tupac?
Yeah, Tupac. I don't know. Obviously, I don't follow
Nice
that.
guy. Did you meet it? Did you? I mean,
yeah.
you meet all these guys.
Yeah,
You're the captain.
yeah, they were all there. Yeah, they did a
Was
series.
Snoop Dogg smoking blunts on the boat?
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
I know he was out having a good time.
I mean, that's a big problem in Mexico to have that type of thing.
But he was having fun. And then Alice Cooper's been on board. There's just been a lot of people.
I've been on.
And you've been on board, yeah.
Cool. So the boat's gone, man.
Yeah.
What's next?
I don't know. I'm just going to start enjoying my life.
So it's Clyde. I can't. I'm really honored. You know, I don't have a lot of family. You know, I haven't had very many role models in my life. I couldn't be more flattered to have been named after you, and you've motivated me to do a lot of different things in my life. And I think that having you as a role model has made me a better person, you know, in some ways. I take the good.
Well,
right?
I'm glad we joke about it.
I try to take the good. But sincerely, man, I'm very grateful. A lot of people, you know, they got projects that they can't get done. You know, you got these younger kids, you know, you've seen a lot of change in your life, you know, in the decades with work ethics and people trying to get stuff done and people trying to earn a living. What do you say? I mean, what if you could say, what would you say to a younger you? Well, what would you say to, you know, the kids these days, you know, that got a lot of unfinished projects, and that guy that's building his, commenting, hey man, I can't even finish my 14-foot ski boat, you know, and what do you say to that?
Well, it's nice. The comments that they make are really nice because they tell me that it motivates them now when they can see what you really can do and what he's really not doing, but he is capable of doing it. So the thing is, it's just to follow through. I mean, you just have to finish it. I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time. I struggle not to do something. When I say I'm going to do something, it's harder for me not to do it than to do it. So I get myself motivated in my head. So I've already built it in my head before
you commit.
Before I really do it. I already see how easy it is. I already know what it's going to take. So when I do something, I look at it how easy it's going to be. Things aren't that hard. And a lot of things I go, well, are you doing it? I can do it. So there isn't anything that if someone else is doing it that you can't do. All you have to do is do it, you know, and maybe you don't get it right the first time. And I'm the first one to tell you, I'll do it 10 times, but I'll get it. And I will finally get it right. But even my perseverance on YouTube, trying to learn how to do a 3D printer, I had no clue.
Well, I know you had to take down your first few videos.
I took down, even doing my first videos, I posted my first one and it was going crazy. It was doing over 5,000 views an hour. And then I got this notice saying your music is copyrighted. I went, okay, well, geez, so how do I get out of that? So I tried to re-edit it. I tried to change the music. I mean, this is all new to me. I mean, I've never edited a movie. I've never put a video together. I've never done any of that.
Maybe you could tell people to document their story.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. So
you know what I mean? Like, do you wish that you would have taken more pictures and stuff like that, or you don't really care?
No, I don't. I'm glad the way things came out, and they're real. I mean, there's nothing there that they're just everyday.
It's kind of funny when people say like, "Why didn't you take more pictures? Why didn't you take more videos?" You're like, "I was just working and living."
Yeah, I didn't.
I was building a boat. I didn't know I was doing something crazy.
Right, and I had. I mean, so even at that point, 30-something years ago, in my head, I would say, okay, I would show it to you maybe. Then what? You know, I mean, I'm not going to...
Back then, yeah. What are you going to do? Here, look at this picture I took.
Right, that's as far as it was going to go. My biggest thing was when Bob Banfield came out and did an interview. So it was on TV for a few minutes. Well, done. Now what? It was done.
Yeah.
And so never would I have thought that it would come to this. And it wasn't, I wasn't motivated by this to do that. And
You just wanted a boat.
I
Nice
just wanted
one.
a boat, and so I did it. You know, it was that simple. There was no, you know, but the thing is too, Clyde, everybody that came by to talk to me, I stopped and talked to. Nobody did I not stop working to talk to.
Why?
Because I would want the same thing. Because when I went to look at other people's boats, they really didn't want to take the time to talk to me. First of all, the first time I said, I'm going to build a 100-foot boat, and they're building something in their yard, they're like going, that ain't going to happen. You know, they're working on this. So they really didn't want to talk to me. So I got to where I went, okay, I'm not going to say that. But at the same time, they've had so many other people before me stop by to eat up their time. It takes time out of your day to stop and talk to people, because once you talk to them, tomorrow they're bringing back their family or their buddy or something else. On Saturdays and Sundays, there would be a line of cars in front of my house of people that would be wanting to come and show their family the boat. And I would let them come on board. So my friend Steve, pretty resourceful guy,
Started charging.
started charging these people. For $20, you get a t-shirt, a beer, and a personalized tour. And he would give you a tour. But he would point out, this little thing over here, this is because of that. And I mean, it was detailed because he knew everything that I did. But no, I never did any of that. I mean, I would talk to him every day during the week, but he loved that so much. I mean, that was his part of the boat of sharing that with all these people. So even sometimes we would have a garage sale under the boat, and we'd call it under the boat garage sale down there. And the people would come from everywhere, and they weren't buying anything. They just wanted to look at the boat.
Wow.
So no, that was pretty fun. But no, I always take time to talk to everybody.
That's cool.
But I mean, as far as kids,
Any advice? You know what I mean? Youngsters.
yeah, as
you
far
know?
as kids,
I mean, not it doesn't even have to be like young kids. You
Yeah.
know, like kids in their 20s. You know, people that are at
Yeah.
a, you know.
well, you don't have to go to college. I mean, I'm a perfect example of my vocabulary. I mean, just everything. I probably should have stayed in school, but I don't think any of that would have benefited me for what I do. In fact, they just would have postponed my getting started. I was ready to get started in high school. I couldn't wait to get out. But no, you don't have to go to college to be successful, or sometimes college will stifle you because you've only been taught one thing. You can only go down that road. All you know now is what this guy taught you. You're not using your own thought process. So whatever they told you, that's what you're going to go by. So most kids and most colleges are like that.
I mean, I think that you're a good example of there's no shame in working. Working for
No.
a living.
No, I'm proud of what I did, and I'm proud of just.
Yeah.
You know,
So just keep your head down and
Yeah.
get to work.
yeah, I'm gonna start taking welding.
Right?
I'm gonna take welding classes next. It's
Well,
been a pleasure, Clyde.
yeah. I really enjoy sitting down and having these talks. We've had a lot, and I learned something new every time. We didn't even get into a lot of the stuff.
Well, that's
so.
because I forget a lot of things every time.